free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, hello there. Thanks for tuning into the news today because there's a lot of it. This is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie on the Annie Fry Show. We have a lot to get to, and let me just tell you about this hour. First of all, in the next segment, we're going to talk about Snowmageddon or whatever this is supposed to be with the absolute latest on what Sunday/Monday, maybe Saturday night is supposed to look like with Dave Murray, the weather authority in all of St. Louis. He's going to be right here talking to us about what he thinks is going to happen, what are the possibilities, of course. But at the moment, covering some horse race news here as Mike Johnson attempts to become the continuing speaker. Now? Horse race news.
I've not heard of this.
Oh, really?
No.
You've never heard it called that before?
No.
When you're just reporting, you're calling it the horse. You're not commenting so much.
Okay.
You call it. You're just reporting on the horse race.
It's like play-by-play.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Thank you for clarifying that, because that is what we're doing here. We're just watching because the vote is coming in. We're going to dip in and out because I just don't think it's going to be very beneficial to tune in for them going yay, nay, Johnson, Jeffries, because that's the two that are up right now. Jeffries on the Democrat side, Hakeem Jeffries, and Mike Johnson on the Republican side. Right now, there's no surprises. I can tell you that. But I don't know if we've gotten to Thomas Massie yet. Here's what Thomas Massie has said he's going to do today, though.
If Chip Roy were asked to serve as chairman of the Rules Committee, would that be enough to get your vote for Mike Johnson?
Oh, no. You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
So I think that's a no from Thomas Massie. I would like to dip in. Now, I don't know if we're going to be hearing Fox News commentators or they're actually live on the floor. We're watching it. I can't obviously listen to it while I'm talking to you. But we're going to dip in and see if they've gotten to the M's because it's all alphabetical. Because right now, nobody's voted against Johnson or Jeffries. So, Brad, if we can.
Yeah, they're in commentary right now.
They are in commentary. So let's okay. Wait. I would just like to know. There's Karl Rove, of course. They're in commentary. I would just like to know where they are in the alphabet because apparently they haven't gotten to the M's yet. Because to me, when I heard that clip, I don't know about you, like this isn't the horse race. This is commentary.
Yeah.
That sounded like a no to me.
Yeah. Well, the part where he said, I am not voting for Speaker.
You can pull my fingernails out. I'm not voting for the Speaker of the House. The question is, who's he going to vote for? Now, he was talking in that clip, and I don't know if they're doing an interview or what, but Matt Gaetz is who he's talking to.
Yeah, that's Matt Gaetz' new show on.
Oh, Matt Gaetz has a new show.
Yes.
On OAN.
Yeah.
That's right. So I guess Thomas Massey chose to go on OAN.
Let's go big.
And talk to Matt Gaetz to make that announcement, knowing that it would be played back quite a bit today. Matt Gaetz is not there. I don't know if you've heard that news. He was one. They expected that he wouldn't be there, and they expected that it would take 218 votes to get the speaker. The question is, though, there are so many people in there. I think it's 435 typically. Right now it's 434. That even the news networks are having trouble keeping track of if everybody is actually there. And it's kind of a big deal because if one person isn't there, the numbers all change.
Right.
And so if somebody decides to vote present, for instance, which some Republicans have said they might, because it's not – Thomas Massey's the one that's on record right now. And they can afford to lose one Republican and Mike Johnson still get the speakership. But between 12 and 27 other Republicans – have indicated that they might not vote for him. We're not quite halfway through this vote yet, and nobody has, so that seems to be not as much of an issue. Could this be a one and done? It absolutely could be. Brad and I were talking before the show because we've been on since basically 11, watching this, covering it live, going back and forth with Kilmeade, and talking about what does this look like for America? I know that people who are very, very involved in politics, and I'll tell you right now, if you're listening to 97.1, you are very involved in politics. You are much more involved than the average person.
Yeah.
Good on you for that. If you are like us, it's gripping. It's almost every day you're like, what's making America tick? That's why I tune in, and I love being a part of it. But when we talk about the speaker vote and it being a bad look for Republicans to go through this turmoil, this consternation, whatever it might be, again, we don't even know if it will be that, but we have seen that with Kevin McCarthy and then with Mike Johnson before, that a lot of people were saying, and they are saying now, if we go through this again, it's going to look so bad for Republicans and Democrats. I even quoted somebody on Fox News said, Democrats are salivating at this opportunity. Well, that may all be true.
Well, they are.
Well, yeah, that may be true. But I think I probably am among the minority here in saying this. I do not think that this quote, looks bad for Republicans or is bad for the Republican caucus. I actually think the exact opposite. I really believe that we just went through a change election. People voted for Donald Trump as a change candidate because what they saw they didn't like. Now, if we go through a process and it's just business as usual, that's not what America just voted for. Now, you can say, well, Johnson isn't business as usual. I get that. I actually like Mike Johnson. I do think he's probably the guy for the job. I'm pretty confident he's going to get the speakership back today, regardless of whether it goes through a couple rounds, which it could. Whether it's first round or not, I do believe Mike Johnson will end up the speaker today. But I don't think that this is a bad thing for America. Now, they still got Karl Rove up here, but it looks like there's a lot of activity now. I don't know what's happening, if we've just hit a threshold because people are stopping and clapping. Mike Johnson's, waving at everybody, but so did Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep an eye on it and tell you what's going on.
Well, Johnson and Jeffries are close in the alphabet, so maybe they just voted for
They voted for themselves, maybe. Is that what's going on? Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, nothing, I guess, has really, really changed because the vote tallies just keep going up. But I don't think that this is a bad thing for America, which is, they keep saying, oh, this is bad for America if Republicans, if the House can't get it together. I don't think it's bad for Republicans. And I almost wish that we would see a second ballot just to send the message. And I'm not talking about anything in particular here. No, like, hey, I need you to put me on the House Rules and Means Committee type jockeying. Just a message to say that, look, we don't want to do things as usual. Brad, you seem to disagree with me.
Yeah, I disagree with that. The speaker vote is not where you figure out if we're going to do things as usual. Where you figure out if we're going to do things usual is whenever you start passing bills. And you can't do that until you get a speaker. And one of the things that I always try to remind people is the Democrat Party operates and functions as a monolith. So whenever you have a monolith, somebody comes in, probably Nancy Pelosi, says, everybody in here vote for Hakeem Jeffries, even though he's in charge, she's in charge.
Yeah, he's in charge, quote unquote.
He's the one in charge until she is not.
Until she's not there anymore.
Yeah. So Democrats, that's how they operate. When was the last time you really saw somebody deviate? When you do, they usually end up being prosecuted by Joe Biden's...
Kicked off all the committees.
Yeah, you're off all the committees.
Yeah, you're gone.
Republicans don't do that.
No, they don't.
You've got your Thomas Masseys, which are your libertarian types. You've got your Chip Roys, which are really hardcore fiscal conservatives.
And he's later in the alphabet too, so that still could happen here.
You've got people. Well, for example, Kinzinger was a Republican for a while in the House. He's purple. You've got the whole. You've got a whole row of different people, and Mike Johnson or whoever becomes a speaker has to make all of those people happy, and there's not a lot of overlap in those belief systems. There is on the really, really big things, but then it's like, well, we need to spend to do this, and the other one's like, no, we shouldn't spend a dime, and we should cut everything.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, you've got to create and pull together. So I think this idea that Mike Johnson needs to be replaced because he's not doing what some of these real conservative, fiscally conservative people are saying is it's kind of silly because you're not going to get everything that you want. Now, to your point, you're saying, well, you're sending a message that things aren't going to go as usual. The message that you're sending here is that we may not be able to get anything done because we can't even agree on who's going to lead us.
Well, Mike Johnson is a fiscal conservative, so I don't want to act like he's a middle ground kind of Republican. He's not.
He is definitely on the right side of the aisle.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually like a really an ideal type of Republican in a lot of ways, in that he has his priorities straight up and down the line. But he's got to cobble together a wide variety of Republicans, just like you were saying.
You have to make deals.
And he has to make deals. And so far, he's been pretty decent at that. You're going to have somebody who's a little, like, of the Republicans. So I'm not talking about a middle ground Adam Kinzinger type Republican. I'm talking about of Republicans. You're going to have somebody who is middle right to get that done.
Right.
Because your defectors are all on the far right.
Right.
And so you need somebody who can really speak to them, but still pull in the real moderate Republicans too.
One of the things I want people to realize is, Ryan, you've negotiated for stuff before. And the thing is when you make a negotiation, when you make a deal, the part of the deal is where you want both parties to leave feeling like they got something out of it. That doesn't mean that both parties leave getting everything that you wanted out of it. So whenever you see, it's like, oh, I didn't get everything that my guy wanted out of this or what I want out of this, that doesn't mean you lost the negotiation.
There's
a lot of that attitude out there right now.
Right now, this is a time right now getting ready to go into a brand new presidency, brand new year, 4 years of Donald Trump, where America wants change. And everybody's going to define that differently. Some people are going to say, well, yeah, I want change from what the last 4 years have been, but Donald Trump still scares me. Okay, well, that's a type of change. Mm-hmm. Other people are going to say, like we've been saying quite a bit, basically the entire apparatus of Washington, D.C. needs to change. The tough thing about doing that with this House is that the majority that Republicans have is so small that what they're going to be able to get done is going to be limited.
But it's because they don't all think the same.
They don't all think the same, and they don't have room to lose a few members here or there. So you have to get all these different factions within the Republican Party together for basically anything to happen. That's going to be tough.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of what Ryan's talking about here. In Illinois, the Democrats have a supermajority, and then you've got a representative like Katie Stewart. Is she your representative?
I think she still is, yeah.
So you've got this supermajority, and every now and then you'll see Katie Stewart vote against something that all the Democrats want. Well, they've got enough Democrats that it passed, and what she has done is gotten permission from her party to vote against that so she can put that on her record and be like, hey, I didn't want this, and they voted for it in anyway. So you've got some of these guys in the House where their votes against something are symbolic, But whenever your majority is so narrow, you don't have room to make those symbolic votes. So sometimes the symbolic votes become very consequential votes.
Well, speaking of real consequential votes, we do now have one defector. And was this Thomas Massie? Brad, let's dip in really quick and just find out who was the defector so far. They have one to lose, and that one is now on the board. Let's find out what it was.
Conciliatory fashion to us and listen to us and give us some skin in the game.
Johnson.
I think the real question here, Carl, is with this slim majority, how much can they deal with? You know, is it going to be this one budget reconciliation effort that puts everything in one pot? Because they may not have too many bites at the apple with this slim majority.
Well, you're right. That is a problem. However, if you have one budget reconciliation act, here's where we're going to we're going to nerd out here about Congress. If you have one budget reconciliation,
and Chad's not even here.
It's got to. Yeah, you've got to cover immigration, of which there's a general consensus inside the Republicans, and you're going to have to cover the tax bill, which no tax bill can be easily and quickly done. Take President Trump's 2017 tax bill. It was signed on December 22nd of 2017. It took all year to write it. We had a tax cut in 2001 under George W. Bush, and it took virtually, I think almost the same amount of time. And that's with a much larger majority. So, when you get into writing a tax bill, for example, you're going to have Republicans.
All right, we're listening to coverage here, but I'm also looking up exactly because they didn't give me the answers that I want. Apparently, it was Thomas Massie. They are in the M's. So Thomas Massie has voted for somebody else. He voted for Tom Emmer, apparently, who I don't think has a chance of being the House Speaker.
I haven't heard his name mentioned outside of just now.
That's who he voted for. So that's the one other. We knew that was going to happen based on the clip that we played. Will there be somebody else? Will we go to a second round? Or is this going to be it? Or is it going to be one and done? We're about halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through. We're going to take a break here, and I think we have time. We're going to talk to Dave Murray at the beginning of the next segment. Of course, we're going to keep our eye on this. If anything happens, we'll just kind of break in and tell you. But another big story coming up this weekend is going to affect all of us. The weather. Let's find out what it's going to do. Dave Murray, the Authority in St. Louis, coming up next here on the Annie Fry Show.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Wow, this year has flown by, and now you're planning to sell your home. Like you, most families have been waiting on the sidelines. Well, now the timing is better, but you still have questions, right? Hey, Mark Cox here from my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been telling you about Gloria Liu for years now. Why? Because Gloria Liu is St. Louis real estate expert, and if you have a home to sell, you need to get to know her like I have. I've seen her systems, her guarantees. I've even met her clients. In fact, I'm also a client. She's different than any other realtor, and if you need help selling your home for the most money, you need to do what I did. Call Gloria Liu. Here's another tip. If you have a home to sell in Crestwood, Eastwood, Shaw, Maplewood, the Central West End, you must give Gloria Lou a call. Take it from me and call my friend Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
We're shining a spotlight on the incredible first responders who keep our community safe every day. Each month, Mark Cox and Grillmaster Tony Stone will personally deliver a delicious lunch to a deserving department. Visit 971talk.com/contests. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
All right, well, you're tuning in for breaking news. You got it. Mike Johnson has lost the first round of the speaker vote for the United States House of Representatives. That does not mean he won't be the speaker eventually, but it does mean they are going to go through this entire round now knowing that he has not gained enough votes to become the Speaker of the House. If you're wondering who is, if you're wondering who other than Thomas Massey who voted against him, it's a guy named Ralph Norman out of South Carolina voted for Jim Jordan, and that's all it took, too. So now will there be more added to the total? Don't really know. We'll just kind of keep watching it because now the whole process has to play out even though we know what's going to happen this first round. What happens from here, we don't know. How about this weekend, though? What is going to happen in St. Louis to all of us? Dave Murray is on the phone. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Sure, absolutely. I love it. This is what I live for. You know that.
Well, lots of breaking news all over the place, I guess.
Right.
We're watching this House Speaker vote, and we'll just continue to kind of update people on that if anything big happens here. But Dave, thanks for being here. Now, what are we seeing? I'm seeing so many different possibilities, and everybody you talk to is saying something different. Give us the latest of what we should know.
Okay, why you're hearing so much stuff is that a lot of the ideas you're hearing are just coming from computer models, and that's not a forecast. It's just an output. It's a guidance. What we have to wait for is this storm system to make landfall in the Pacific Northwest. It has not done that yet and will not do that until probably about 9 o'clock tonight. Then it has to get over the Rockies where it will get sheared apart, ripped up, because that's what the Rockies do, and then it will reform in the Central Plains, pull itself back together again. At that point, and now we're really talking into Saturday, we will not have a clear-cut picture of exactly what this thing is going to do. So what I'm basing my forecast on is the experience of what these things do and how they affect our part of the nation. So once we get the track down, which again is at least 24 hours away, then we're not going to have all the details. But here's what I'm thinking right now. Winter storm watch remains in effect 6 p.m. Saturday night until 6 a.m. Monday morning. The track of the storm is what this thing is all about. Little variations in the track will change the numbers very easily. And when I say a little change, it could be as much as 10 to 15 miles. And that's why this is so critical to get this thing over the Rockies. Here in St. Louis, we're going to see this thing start as snow and then quickly mix with sleet and freezing rain. And that will be after midnight on Saturday night as warm air comes up from the south. We're right on the border of that warm air. Look for a mix of sleet, snow, freezing rain, maybe even some plain old rain all day on Sunday. There's going to be some gaps from time to time where it won't be doing much, but it will be around all day on Sunday into Sunday evening. It will change back to all snow on the backside of the storm as it slides by late Sunday afternoon up until about midnight on Sunday night. Then the storm pulls away very quickly. Here in St. Louis, and again, all of this will need fine-tuning, and it will get fine-tuned several times, but we're going to see this mix of moisture for the bulk of the storm system, snow, sleet, freezing rain. And when we get sleet and freezing rain, that tends to keep the snow amounts down, but it could lead to some ice problems. Still thinking, no need to change this yet. By midnight, Sunday night, we could see about 5 inches of snow. South and ice. South of St. Louis, think south of a DeSoto, Sparta, Mount Vernon line, mainly sleet and freezing rain. There could be some real ice concerns to our south. North of St. Louis, think Columbia, Ellsbury, up to Carlinville, mainly all snow, some sleet mixing in, and there could be 10 inches of snow north of that line, Columbia, Ellsbury, and Collinsville. But again, take a lot of this is not cast in stone yet, but these are my ideas that I'm thinking right now.
Wow, Dave, I mean, when you're listing those cities, those aren't real far apart. So you're getting pretty specific and saying, yeah, if you're south of St. Louis or north of St. Louis, it could be pretty different for you.
Absolutely. And that tends to be a trend here in the St. Louis area. It's just what happens with these storms as warm air comes up from the south, cold air comes in behind the storm system. We're always on these lines. And across our listening area, you're going to see a wide range of weather. Some of it all snow, where I'm expecting the bigger amounts, the mix for us, and an ice situation to our south. And that's, I'd rather see the snow than the ice, but we never get that. We rarely get all snow.
Dave, is there a chance that if this shifts a little bit, that all of St. Louis could see nothing but rain, or we could see a whole lot more snow?
Yes. I don't think we would be in a situation where we get into just a liquid rain. The ground temperatures are above freezing. That's good. But the air temperature will be below freezing for most of this event. So, yes, but a variation of even 10, 15 miles could make a huge difference. If the storm track shifts a little bit to the north, then we get more into an icing situation. If it tracks a little more to the south, then we would get more into a snow situation. And it really is just that kind of fine line. And that's why to hear, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen, it's impossible to call until this thing gets over the Rockies. I've said it for decades. Wait till it gets over the Rockies. You cannot rush a winter storm forecast. I know everybody wants to know it, and they want to know it now, but you cannot rush a forecast like this.
And I've been hearing you say it just in the last couple of days. You say, look, everybody, You're rushing this thing.
Yep. You never, ever rush it. And part of the problem there is when you do start to rush it, then the time frame, the timetables get all mixed up. And people think that, oh, it's coming sooner than I heard earlier and all this. And again, take your weather apps with a real grain of salt. I could say something else, but take them with a real grain of salt. All they are computer outputs. There are no human factors that come into play in that. And weather is so geared towards experience and intuition on these storm systems. So take your weather models and really take them with a grain of salt.
So right now, the Weather Authority in St. Louis, Dave Murray, is saying that it starts probably Saturday night, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, we could see a little bit of really light stuff during the evening, but I'm not overly concerned about that. I think most of it's after midnight. So if you've got some plans on Saturday evening, I think you're going to be okay. But after midnight, we're all living on borrowed time. And if this all kind of plays out the way I think it's going to play at this point, the Monday morning rush could be a mess. Of course, that's all dependent on when the road crews get out, how well they attack this thing. So there's a lot of variables in that. But behind the storm, there's a lot of cold air. So it's not like it's going to all of a sudden warm up and melt this stuff. It's going to be around for a couple of days.
Since I got you here for a segment and we're just watching this House vote, which, by the way, now 3 dissenters. So we already knew it was going to go to a second round, but, a couple people added there as we're watching this thing play out. What about the back end of this storm? Is it done by late Sunday night, Monday morning?
Yeah, I think most of the accumulating stuff will be done by midnight, Sunday night into Monday morning. There could still be some snow flurries, things like that. And again, the timetable with this is snow to begin, quickly changing over to a mix, and then most of the snow is going to be on the backside of the storm. And I do anticipate a little dry air coming into this. So sometime Sunday afternoon, you may look out the window and go, hey, it's not doing anything. That's okay. That would be normal in this kind of situation, waiting for the back edge of the storm to come by, and then that will kick over to snow.
So when people have been yelling about, we might get 18 inches, that's not going to happen.
I never say nothing is going to happen because there's so many variables that still have to play out here. But to start throwing numbers on a storm system like this 2 days in advance, 3 days in advance, is be brutal about it. It's irresponsible. It's irresponsible. And you suggest if you're truly a meteorologist who loves to forecast the weather and likes to get the information out there without the hype, that you shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't do it.
Well, Dave, I think we've talked enough that you know that I just like dealing in reality, you know.
Right. So do I.
Right.
You know, and that's I've never been a hype master on this, and I've been lucky enough through my career where I've had general managers and news directors who they may occasionally push you a little bit to hype it up a bit, but they know I'm not going to do it. And it's like, hey, it's my name is on the line, not your name.
So I'm not going to get Dave Murray in a promo saying, looking at a possible 2 feet of snow on Sunday.
No, you're not. You're not. But you're going to hear those. You probably have heard them already.
Dave, this is not, directly related to meteorology, but I've been saying to people here, because we walk around the office, and honestly, depending on who people are listening to or where they've gotten their information, everybody's saying different things, which is why, I'm glad to have you here. But the one consensus that I've come to is that everybody kind of believes the same thing about the salt trucks. That the first one of the year, the first big snow, the first event like this, everybody's ready for it, and this is that one. So I'm kind of glad about that.
Right. Yeah, so am I. And the other, I do think we could see a little bit of liquid rain sometime on Sunday, but for the most part, the temperatures are going to be below freezing for this. So the road crews on both sides of the river, they can get out and pre-treat these roads as far as Saturday is concerned, especially Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. That's going to help a lot. It's not going to be one of these situations where you pre-treat and then you get 3 hours of rain and it washes it all away. That's not going to happen with this scenario.
That's good news. Well, thanks, Dave. I appreciate all the updates, and we'll continue to keep an eye on this thing through the weekend.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Appreciate Dave Murray, the Weather Authority in St. Louis and the Chief Meteorologist for 97.1 FM Talk, on the phone with us. That's good to know, because the biggest predictions is what you always hear. And I keep hearing people go, hey, possible 18 inches.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, I don't even know if I've ever seen that in my lifetime.
Oh, I know I have. But
18 inches you've seen?
For sure.
Here?
Yeah, in St. Louis.
When was this?
Oh, geez. I think I was probably 10 or 11 years old. So it's like big. No, there was a time, I want to say it was 2014, 2013, somewhere around there. Probably 2014, we had a lot of snow because I remember I was working at a mechanic shop, and one of the jobs we had to do was go out and shovel and push the snow out from there, and we were stacking it up over 8 foot high. So
man, I just don't remember it being over a foot.
Oh yeah, it was like
since I've been driving.
I want to say it was like 16 inches of snow.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I got to double check. I wish I would have asked Dave that. What's the most we've had in our lifetime?
And just to recap, he's predicting how much?
He said it depends really on where you are in St. Louis. If you're a little
gets
south,
more freezing rain.
You're getting more rain, more sleet, more freezing stuff, and less snow. If you're north of here, this is how much on the line we must be.
Yeah, in St. Louis is always on the line.
I guess we are, but yeah, if you're north of here, it looks like it will be more snow. And he said probably he's saying around 5 inches.
That's still good
on the southern side. Now, if you're north, it sounds like it could be a little bit more than that, and most of that snow is going to be on the back end of the storm. But this thing moves a little bit, like he said, and that changes things, but apparently we'll be right on the line. And the Rockies, it's so interesting to know the elevations of things and how the weather really isn't that high up for the mountains to have that much of an effect on it. It's just one of those random things that I've been reading about, that if you're looking at the Earth from outer space, the amount of space between the ground and the weather is not that much.
Right.
And so for the elevation to have that much of an impact on it,
yeah,
I don't know, it's just kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, the mountains push the air up. It's a physical barrier. It pushes the air up. And when it pushes the air up, it changes the temperature of the air, and that's what affects all the weather.
Right. So, yeah, we'll just keep an eye on this. Nothing today, so I don't think you're going to have any breaking news regarding the weather unless it completely falls apart in the Pacific Ocean and California kills it just like they kill everything else. We'll see what happens.
Killer of dreams, California.
Yeah, because yes, there's so many people chiming in on the YouTube page today saying, "Bring on the snow." I don't know if I'm there. I wouldn't mind some snow, My son got a cool like scooter for snow.
Yeah.
It's a standing
Okay.
sled.
Yeah.
That I'm looking forward to busting that out.
You'll have to take him out to St. Ellen Mine out in O'Fallon there. It's it's behind the Aldi back there. And it's an old strip mine that they've turned into a
Is
park.
this the big spot in O'Fallon?
I don't know if it's a big spot, but this is.
Well, it will be now.
It's a park. It's a strip mine, and whenever you get it, it is basically a big hill that you can sled down, and it is fantastic.
We've got a couple of those in Collinsville too that we go to. I grew up near a hill, so I was kind of spoiled because we just walk out to it. But we don't have that at my house now. We have a little bitty hill on the side.
Right.
And when the kids were little, they were like, "Oh, this is the best thing in the world. It's a hill almost as tall as my dad." Like it's it's not very big.
No. This is like. It's a strip mine. It's a big old pile. And the nice thing about it, with it have been a strip mine, there's not like trees or anything you got to worry about. It's just a big open hill that you can.
Yeah. Well, this is the first big snow of the season. So, like I said, I think usually what happens with the first big snow is that we're all over prepared. All the eggs and milk are gone. Everybody's prepared for it. And then it's not as bad as it seems. Although this one's predicted to be, a kind of a bigger one. So we'll see. It's that I was telling Mark Cox this morning. It's because he's got to be here Monday morning at 4, regardless of what happens. So he's like, oh, what's this going to be? It's that third snow. It's that fourth one that comes in March that everybody's like, we've had a few of these. We've been fine. And then one just slams St. Louis, and then you spend 3 hours trying to get to work. I hope this isn't that. That's all I'm saying. Update on the speaker vote. We are still, I broke in kind of the middle there and said this, and nothing's really changed. We're still at 3 dissenters. I'm assuming all of those are on the Republican side. I know 2 of them are. I'm assuming that third one is too. So Johnson will not get the speakership on this first round. The question will be, once we get through this, and we probably pretty close to the end of the vote now, is once we get through this first round, do they just jump right back in, or do they stop? They probably will. They'll probably pause. He'll go talk to the people who said no. And we'll see what kind of demand are they actually like saying, here are my demands. I've heard one of those things, and I wouldn't mind this, is if when they do the budget negotiations for March for the future budget, right now it's just a continuing resolution from what it has been. But when they actually do the new budget, a lot of them are saying, we want to split these things up into, instead of doing one giant bill, do several bills and vote on all of them.
Yes.
And then the ones that we like will pass. And
Love
then
that.
That quote unquote part of the government will be funded. But it's the other things, these other big things that they want to focus on that'll give them more time and more detail. And you can't pack all kinds of random crap into all these things.
Well, when they talk about Congress having the power of the purse, that's how you choke out bad government policy or bad government agencies, is Congress says we're not going to fund that.
Yes. So if that's part of this negotiation that's about to happen, it looks like they are wrapping up here because Mike Johnson's standing up. He's talking to people. They're doing the NFL thing where they're covering their mouth while they're talking to each other. So you can't quite tell. You can't lip read.
I feel like if I were a congressman, I'd bring my baseball glove to this. And so whenever I go to talk to somebody, I'd be like a pitcher on the mound, and I just put the baseball glove over my face.
Or at least your headset and a clipboard,
Well, if
Make
you're the
it
coach,
official.
if you're the coach,
Yeah,
but if you're the starting pitcher, you got your glove over your mouth. It's important to note, though, to get the speakership, you need a majority, and that's different than a plurality. So a majority is 50% plus 1.
And they got to be just shy of that.
Right.
With it looks like it is done. So 3 people have dissented. I'm actually surprised that after the second one went, that more people didn't kind of pile on at the end.
Because that's your opportunity.
And maybe you've already passed most of the people that would have done that at that point. I don't know. But yeah, this is going to be a day, so stick around. We'll take a short break. I'm assuming they're going to take a short break, and we'll find out whether they're going to come back to this quickly, whether they're going to do it, by the Mark Reardon show time. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll let you know, and of course, this is the place to keep it because we'll keep you updated live. We're going to do Be or Not the Be next, so stick around.
This is The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Instagram @The Annie Fry Show.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-481-4455. 800-481-4455. That's 800-481-4455.
The colder weather is here, and my friends at Hanson's Tree Service want to offer you a 10% winter discount for all tree care scheduled between January and March of next year. Mark Cox here. Call now. Get your spot secured. Also, when it comes to winter plant health care, it's a great time to get one of their arborists over. Have them to prescribe the best treatment options for your trees during the fall and winter season. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Schedule your appointment today at hansonstree.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
When the weather is the story is on 97.1. With live local updates and up-to-date forecasts from 97.1 Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray. Your local source for what's important. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Ryan Wiggins and Brad Range and Trisha actually joining us for this segment, filling in for Annie, who will be back on Monday. We're still watching the speaker vote, but it has done. So if you're just tuning in, the Speaker of the House vote has happened. Johnson narrowly did not get the Speaker, but there's not really anybody else in contention. So what we're watching for is what kind of deals are these people trying to make? The three people, the three Republicans who voted against Johnson in this first round. And then what happens now? Are they going to come back right away? Are they going to adjourn for a bit, come back later this evening, or maybe in an hour, or what? That we don't know, but we will keep you updated on it. For now, though, it is Wiggins America time, and it is Be or Not the Bee.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
The Be or Not the Bee.
All right, I'm excited about this because I don't think that I've ever led Be or Not the Bee before.
Never?
I don't know. Maybe once 2-3 years ago, but I've never done that. So basically, for those of you who are listening, if you've not heard us do this before, I've got several stories here. Some are real, some are fake, and it's Ryan and Trisha's job to figure out if this is a real story or a Babylon Bee story. So I'm going to read the headline, and they're going to guess. All right, here we go. Canadian bank robber forced to flee on foot after someone steals his getaway bicycle.
Dun, dun, dun. That sounds real to me.
That does sound real. It doesn't sound funny enough to be the bee.
Yeah, it is, in fact, real. It says Hamilton police responded to a robbery at a bank of Montreal where a guy tried to rob the place after showing up on a bicycle. Very Canadian of him.
Now, if it would have been a hot dog cart or something like that, I would have been like,
wait, you're like riding the hot dog car away from the robbery? Or you're robbing a hot dog cart?
If he was robbing, no, the getaway vehicle was a hot dog cart. If that would have been the case, on wheels, and I would have thought, that might be.
Oh, like it's so ridiculous that it's funny, but instead just riding a bike away? Yeah. I would figure, though, that there's some strategy here, that if you're going to rob a bank, they're going to have all kinds of cameras. They're going to pick up your license plate and all that stuff.
Not on a
if
bicycle.
you don't have a license plate
or a hot dog cart.
Right. So
saying.
maybe there was some forethought put into this. Now, it also kind of limits the amount of money you could steal, I would think. And plus,
You're probably not bringing gold bricks with you.
Exactly. And when you're riding down the street with two of those bags with the big dollar signs on them, people are like, that looks like a bank robber.
Your robber mask.
Yeah, and you're
on.
wearing the black and white striped
the
shirt.
Stripes, yeah.
People are like, that looks like a robbery
Is that
in
the
action.
Hamburglar?
I don't know. That's just the way I understand robberies
like
to go.
stripes under your eyes
Yeah.
for no reason.
I've never done a robbery, but I would figure that's what
How
it
it would
looked
go.
like.
So the
yeah, you
crazy-
kind of look like a raccoon.
Crazy thing is, this guy actually did get away. So
Did he really?
Yeah,
It
him and the
worked.
bike robber.
Brilliant.
They're still on the lam.
Joke's
so
on
call them
us.
mint jelly. All right. Second headline: White House insists Jimmy Carter is still sharp and focused behind closed doors.
Was that too soon? I mean, that's the B. But...
all of these might be too soon.
Okay. Well, that's the B.
Yeah,
you get the
it's-
sounder?
Yes, I do.
There we go.
It is definitely the B. All right. So, despite swirling rumors that his demise has negatively affected his cognitive abilities, White House officials insisted today that former President Jimmy Carter is still sharp and focused behind closed doors.
KJP said.
There are very few that I feel bad about. I do feel a little bit bad about that one.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
I hope people can laugh at my expense after I pass away.
Yeah.
So
I will.
The clarification came during a New Year's
We'll do a
press
whole
briefing.
bit.
What
Yeah.
makes you think you're not going before me?
Yeah.
Hey, you're old.
I don't know. You kind of live recklessly.
The clarification came during New Year's press briefing as the White House sought to dispel any speculation that President Carter had lost any of his mental acuity and ability to make some decisions.
By the way, if you're listening to B or Not the B and you're like, man, this is going really well, except that music was a little loud. Give Brad a break. He's doing literally everything in this segment.
All right, I'm going to try to adjust that. Thank you, Ryan, for
No,
pointing that out.
I'm on your side, man.
All right.
I am
Next
going to
headline.
make fun of you after you pass
Next
it.
headline.
Okay.
FBI.
Johnson's leaving the chamber right now. Just so you know, we don't know what's going to happen, but he is walking out, so nothing to
The
report
number
probably
changed,
for.
too. He's down to 216.
Yeah, I think I saw that and thought 217 was the number that I thought they were shooting for, so 216 would be below it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so FBI asks ex-users to please stop solving crimes before they do.
That feels real.
No, that's the B.
That's the B.
I think I saw this one. The problem is I usually host this segment.
Yeah.
And so I
So
see
you
a
got
lot
a feel
of it.
for it, yeah. In the formal statement, the FBI has called on the internet sleuths, particularly ex-users, to please stop solving crimes before we have a chance to do so.
Okay, so in my defense, I hear it tongue-in-cheek, but I think there probably is a portion of the FBI that has to stop some of these podcasters, true crime junkies, people from going out and meddling. Some.
That's interesting because that is a whole world, and it actually disappoints me when it started to become the podcast thing where the true crime, it's just taken off, you know. But it's not as if we've never had TV shows that were about this. You've had entire channels devoted to this kind of stuff forever. But when the true crime audio podcast thing became a thing, and you saw them digging up old crimes that were unsolved, and then all of a sudden, the law enforcement agency goes, oh, yeah, we were going to get around to that.
Oh, yeah,
again.
we better go back and find that stuff real quick. Hold on.
We're still working on that.
Yeah,
we just want you to know.
Breaking the case.
I was like, well, I guess it's good that they're doing it now, but they weren't doing anything until this got involved. And that kind of made me mad. And it made me disappointed because I don't know, up until the last few years, I've always thought of the law enforcement, the big law enforcement, FBI and all these things, aside from the politics of the day, that they had all this knowledge and all these
round the clock working on these things. They're never giving up.
They're almost like not even people. They're such a big entity that they're like, they know so much more. And then you get a true crime podcast that comes along and solves more than they did. And they're like, we were about to find that. And you're
that
like,
was coming up next.
I just lost even more faith in you.
But that was the B.
That was the B.
Yeah, it's definitely the B. All right, next one. Florida judge uses VR headset to experience a defendant's perspective. So the judge puts on a headset and experiences the Florida defendant's perspective.
Are you getting ready to push the sounder? Okay,
No.
that seems real to me too. Am I just bad at this game?
Well, you are, but that is real though. Okay. So you're right.
So I'm great at this. Easy.
Well, you're just bad at.
I'm bad at games in general. I usually lose.
Man.
No, I saw this story ahead of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So an artist used the Oculus Quest 2 VR headset they created this immersive experience. And basically the idea was to illustrate a defensive expert's opinion in a legal case. So they created this animation and they put it on the judge's head. And if you guys have ever used VR, you can look around and it's like being there. Except I saw some of the video from it and it was like, okay, this is very obviously not
It wasn't very good. It was not well
it's
done.
It's like they slapped this together. But, I mean, it gives you the idea of what you can see, what you can't see.
It did make me wonder because I saw the same thing where you saw what the judge was seeing. So somebody had to put that together.
Yeah.
So you could just kind of like, well, no, I'm going to put this guy here instead of here.
Right.
It seems like you could manipulate the situation really easily.
Absolutely manipulate it. And this is the wedding venue owner is accused of waving a gun at guests in 2023 and faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because of this. And so what I guess the defense was trying to do is create a situation where the judge could look at that and go, oh, okay, I guess I could see his point. Because I think usually what they're trying to figure out is how would a reasonable person respond in that situation. So it's a novel idea.
Yeah, it is, and it's a cool idea if done correctly. I just don't know that it could ever really be done correctly.
How do you prove people were
This is exactly where this
that's
was.
exactly what happened.
No, that's not what my decorations looked like at my wedding. It was under the sea themed. The problem was watching them do this. If you've ever watched somebody do VR, they've got those headsets on. They look like they're idiots. Like,
right.
If you have a headset
that
on,
they make.
you're going.
Have you ever done it though?
Oh yeah,
it's so cool.
It's especially if you get a really good one.
Have you ever done the Sandbox VR?
I haven't done Sandbox VR.
I've done a different one, but
my friend had one, and there's like where you walk out on this beam off of this big huge building, and you got to pick up the cake off of the building. Off the end of this beam, and I couldn't do it. I am terrified of heights, and
Is that real?
It triggered all the right things.
Now look, if you're in the VR, it's super cool. If you're watching somebody do VR,
that might actually be better.
You look stupid.
If you're watching the person,
and so watching that in a courtroom was bizarre.
The judge.
It's like four different people all experiencing at the same time. They're all going, but it's in a courtroom.
He's like swatting off fake drunk people around him.
Yeah, he's like shooting lasers. Yeah. Wow, look at that. I didn't know I could do this part. All right, I guess we don't have any time for any more, but...
No, but I got one more headline that I want to read, and it says Tesla Cybertruck voted worst vehicle by National Association of Terrorist Car Bombers.
Very, very good. And all of them probably a little too soon, but that's what the pig does. That's all right. Hey, we got a lot of news. We got a lot more to cover here with the speaker vote because it ain't done. Stick around, more on the Annie Fry Show.
Want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with DayQuil VapoCool. It's DayQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is DayQuil VapoCool.
DayQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Your voice can be key to changing lives. That's why the American Cancer Society is calling on Black women from all walks of life to join Voices of Black Women, a groundbreaking research study led by the American Cancer Society and backed by more than 70 years of trusted cancer research studies and breakthroughs. The Voices of Black Women study is designed to better understand why and how cancer and other conditions impact Black women. It's a commitment to partnering with Black women to better understand their lived experiences. Learn more at voices.cancer.org.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
You're leaving for work, but the garage door won't open. Is it the opener? Is the spring broken? Now you're late and your car is trapped. Well, don't panic. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is here with same-day emergency service. They won't leave you stuck. The original Red Ribbon Garage Door Company, trusted in St. Louis since 1926. Call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. The Speaker's vote likely headed to a second ballot. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. In the vote for the Speaker of the House, 3 GOP House members, including Kentucky's Tom Massey, have voted for Republicans other than incumbent Speaker Mike Johnson. The clerk of the House reviewing the votes. Currently, the tally shows Johnson with 216 votes to Democrat Hakeem Jeffries with 215. 218 votes are required to win. Fox's Chad Pergamum reports he's been told they will go to a second ballot. The House can do nothing else until the Speaker is chosen. The merger of U.S. Steel with Japan's Nippon Steel blocked by President Biden.
This isn't about Japan. This is about U.S. steelmaking and keeping one of the largest steel producers in the United States, an American-owned company.
White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby, the president, saying in a statement the sale would threaten U.S. supply chains and national security. U.S. Steel had warned of potential plant closing should the $15 billion deal falter. A new warning from the FBI about potential additional terrorist attacks.
A bulletin from the FBI and other federal agencies warns of copycat or retaliatory attacks by drivers using vehicles as weapons.
Federal law enforcement, federal investigative authorities, and our intelligence community are watching this very, very closely.
White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says keeping the upcoming inauguration on January 20th safe is a top priority, and current officials are coordinating with their incoming Trump administration counterparts. Investigators believe the driver, who killed 14 people in New Orleans on New Year's Day, acted alone.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Wall Street on the second day of trading of the new year up sharply. The Dow ahead by 334 points. NASDAQ up 314. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Sunshine the rule as we go through our Friday afternoon, 34 for the high. Tonight, it's cold night, partly cloudy, 20. Saturday, some sun, but it's a day of increasing clouds, 32 degrees. Saturday night, snow, sleet, and freezing rain developing after midnight. Sunday, snow, sleet, and freezing rain throughout the day, 34. By the time it's over around midnight Sunday night, about 5 inches of ice and snow. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's that cold, dry time of year, and Air Comfort Service has a way to make sure that your comfort zone doesn't have to reflect the air that's outside. And of course, I'm talking about a heating system that can keep the air in your home warm and cozy. But let's talk about that dryness. Notice how it's been cold for a few months. Your heating system has been running for a while. Have you noticed how dry the air is in your home? When it's cold outside and your heating system is running, it makes the air inside of your home even drier, which can cause some uncomfortableness for you and your family. I definitely notice this from the kids when they're sleeping, but I see it even myself. Sore throats, dry nasal cavities in the morning after you're sleeping, maybe even nosebleeds, dry, cracked, itchy skin. Corey and the team at Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation want to keep you in your comfort zone by adding moisture to the dry winter air throughout your entire home with a whole home humidifier. Reach out to them and figure out exactly how they can do this for you in your home at 314-513-0091. AirComfortService.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them, to see someone that is in pain. I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
97.1 FM Talk presents Talk in Action, where we shine a spotlight on local charities making a difference in our community. Join us as we give back and connect neighbors in need. Visit 971talk.com/talkinaction to learn more.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, here we are trying to do a radio show, and they keep voting for a Speaker of the House, like we've got nothing else going on.
Or not voting for
I should say not voting for a Speaker of the House. Well, they have voted. They just have not voted for Mike Johnson. I should say the vast majority of Republicans have voted for Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
All of the Democrats, apparently, that are in session have voted for Hakeem Jeffries, but he's not going to be the Speaker. So it's those other three right now who we are watching to see what exactly do they want out of this. Are they just trying to send a message? Because that could be what's going on here. This is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry. 3 Republicans have dissented and not voted for Mike Johnson for Speaker of the House. So here on 97.1, that is, of course, something that we cover very, very heavily because we talk about politics quite a bit. I don't know if you ever tuned into this station.
The 3 that dissented, I know Massey and then the guy from North Carolina. What was his name again?
Let me tell you real quick. It was Norman was from South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And then the third one is the one that happened while we were doing other things that it really wasn't a big deal at that point because we knew he had lost
it was
that
just
round.
another one.
It was just another person, but it was only one more. And that was, let me see, Mike Johnson, it was Norman, it was Massey, and it was, oh, by the way, Chip Roy voted for Mike Johnson.
Okay.
So he was not the dissenter. I had that guy's name, and I just lost it. But it was somebody that, was it Tom Emmer? I think it was.
Tom Emmer?
It was Thomas Massey voted for Tom Emmer, and I think Tom Emmer and this Norman guy voted for
Jim Jordan.
Jim Jordan.
Okay.
So that's your three.
Well, that's interesting too because the Ukrainian immigrant representative out of Indiana, she was last
Victoria
I heard.
Sparks.
Yeah, Victoria Sparks was a no last I heard, so that means she must have voted yes.
She also voted yes. So yeah, it's interesting in this moment because there's a lot of, as we watch, most of the House members are still there on the floor. I mean, this is like. C-SPAN's boring. I get it.
Yes.
But watching it happen, in these moments, it's not.
It's interesting, too, because I was mentioning off air, you could see body language and you could figure out who's, stressed out about this, who's not. And nobody, to me, looks panicked.
No, I don't either, except for Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson looked frustrated.
Now, when that vote came through, he was sitting there, and he basically, gave out a puff of smoke, stood up, buttoned his jacket, and started walking. He did not look like he was happy, but I don't know what his strategy is now. My assumption is that he goes and talks to the three.
Yes.
Or he grabs a couple people who are friends with the three and says, all of us, come on, let's go in a room, let's talk, what do you need? The question, though, is what is Thomas Massey looking to get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
What is Tom Emmer looking to get out of this? What is Norman, this other guy, I can give you his first name. It's Ralph Norman from South Carolina. What are they looking to get? Are they just doing a protest vote? Because if they are, what we're going to see is a pretty quick return to the House floor, is my assumption.
Yeah.
Talk things through. Maybe they take a lunch break, whatever. They come back probably within the next hour or two, and they vote again, and Mike Johnson becomes the Speaker of the House. And they just vent their frustrations and say, I just wanted to get that out and let you know, here's what I want in the future.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, well, we'll move on.
Yeah,
Thomas Massey probably still a no, but he would be Speaker.
I've heard that they've negotiated chairman seats before in the past. There's just all sorts of things that could be negotiated to get the votes.
And my hope is that's not the case because that's
petty.
petty and it's selfish. But we'll see. That's one option. The other is that these guys are going to stick no. And Mike Johnson then would not be able to become the Speaker of the House unless Democrats decided to vote for him. And they're not going to do it because they like making all this this hay. So just a few notes here that have broken since we started covering this at the beginning of last hour. I'm sorry. I said it was Tom Emmer. It was Keith Self. That Tom Emmer was one of the vote getters. Keith Self voted for Byron Donalds.
I was going to say,
so
Emmer voting would have been like,
this is my apologies.
He's the whip.
He's the third one. Keith Self would have been the third one. Again, these are names not really heard of. But there apparently were protest votes or protests breaking out a bit on the House floor because American Samoa is not allowed to vote in the House. So I think they already knew that. But
did they do a haka? I hope they did.
I have no idea. And the Chip Roy thing was, more breaking news. So there's going to be a second ballot. What happens, we don't know. We'll be covering it live. But here's a little bit of audio to kind of catch you up on the day. So first, at just before we went on at noon, well, technically, we started at 11 today because we knew that this was going to happen at somewhere in the 11 o'clock hour. And then it really didn't officially start till close to noon when we normally go on. And Representative Lisa McCann gave a nominating speech for Johnson that went like this.
On November 5th, the American people gave us a great opportunity to get America back on the right track. They gave us an opportunity to get back to normal and to get back to the real issues that the country faces right now. People want the opportunity to take care of their families. They simply want to provide for their children and give them a prosperous future. And Ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity today to do just that. We have an opportunity to take our country back. With Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and President Donald J. Trump in charge, we have the opportunity to put America first again.
That was Lisa McCann. She's a Republican from Michigan. She was giving the nominating speech. I actually really enjoy watching this process play out. This is American democracy. I mean, this is the stuff that you watch people in parliament in other countries and you go, oh, that's how they do it. Oh, this is watching our own. This is how we do it. And watching these speeches was one of those things that we kind of went back and forth. Should we, like I said, we were here in the 11 o'clock hour. Should we break into Kilmeade and carry these speeches? We decided not to, but there were some good moments from them. After listening to the Democrats nominate Hakeem Jeffries, Brad came in and goes, man, I'm really glad we didn't carry that speech because it was a bunch of nonsense, but it was the kind of thing that inflames. You go, like the stuff, we just wanted to bring down prices. We're just here for the American people. And you're like, I think that you are speaking directly through your front teeth when you say that.
Yeah, it's like an entourage. So they're panning the camera around there, and Speaker Johnson walked out, and there was like 7 or 8 people following him in a line. So I don't know where they were going, if they're going to another room.
So he's back on the floor.
Yeah, he was back on the floor. He was down by where the gavel is and all that other stuff. And then this was in the back of the room, and so it looked like he was walking out.
Oh, he's walking back out. Okay, so they're still doing meetings. When that nominating speech for Hakeem Jeffries happened, we're sitting here listening to it going, come on, give me a freaking break. Like, you're going to continue. You just lost an election. You lost every chamber, and yet you're going to continue to tell people, well, this is just what we've been trying to do. Democrat, they've had basically everything but the House, and they had the House 2 years ago, and they're like, this is what we're trying to do.
Mr. Clerk, today I rise on behalf of the governing majority of the House of Representatives. The American people have sent a strong message that they want their elected leaders working together.
Yeah, this is just we're the adults in the room.
Absolutely.
These Republicans, how dare they dissent?
This is the political play you got to make if you're the Democrat.
But this is Pete Aguilar, Democrat from California. Continuing.
To tackle the affordability crisis. There is only one leader in this chamber with a track record of compromise, conviction, and compassion. There is only one leader who understands the needs of the working people and has lived the American dream himself.
And that is Hakeem Jeffries.
You got to be careful saying you understand the needs of the working people.
You tell me about it.
And when you watch what you did to the working people over the last 4 years.
Tell me about it. That's what I was screaming at my TV watching this thing.
And is committed to ensuring its promise for future generations. There is only one leader who knows how to negotiate a bipartisan deal and then stick to that deal. Democrats are united behind the most powerful legislative leader in this chamber, Hakeem Jeffries of Brooklyn.
Now, the only thing that I agree with in there is that they are united behind Hakeem Jeffries. There have been people saying, because there's nothing at stake. There's nothing really that they're going to be able to do. So, of course, they unite behind somebody just to basically as a protest vote. But that's what we're watching right now. If you're just tuning in, we're watching this speaker vote play out. The first one's done. Johnson did not get it. But not a lot of dissent. So 3 votes. And now what happens? I got some audio I want to play here for you that is something really out of left field. I didn't know that this was a possibility today. And I'll get to that in a second. But like you said, Brad, as we watch the body language of these representatives on the floor, now some of these might be Democrats and they're just having a good time. Yeah. This is a party day for them. But the Republicans don't look, of the ones that I've seen, they don't really look like they're under a lot of duress here.
Well, the just before the scene we switched off of just there, it was a representative speaking to Thomas Massey. And Thomas Massey and that guy, they were laughing. So I don't think that there's a lot of animosity. So, I mean, I wish we kind of knew what they were demanding or if we could get into the room where it happens. But
yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be the thing is that right now, it seems as if those meetings are probably happening. Mm-hmm. Thomas Massey's still on the floor, though. So my guess is that he's going to be a no. He's just going to stay no.
What does he want? Not Mike Johnson.
He's-
but that's
yeah.
okay if you can get the other two.
So the other two are this guy Self and Norman. Norman from South Carolina. Self. Where was he from? I can't remember if I even said. But these are names that we're not really familiar with. Maybe they become names that we're familiar with. Self. Keith Self is his name. GOP inside, of course. But what happens? Are they in meetings right now? That's what we'll find out, and that's why it's fun to cover, a big live event like this happening, which we get to do today. And thank you for tuning in. And keep it here if you want to know what's happening minute by minute, because stuff like this, you can tune into Fox, but you're not going to hear your local representative, Eric Burleson, talking about what may happen next in such a way as we've got audio here. Now, Eric Burleson is a Missouri House rep.
Yep.
He is from the 7th District, which is down near Springfield. Here is a possibility of, if this isn't, like I said, this is just a protest vote, we're going to come back pretty quick and Mike Johnson will be the speaker.
Yeah, this was from this morning with Mark Cox.
Okay, this is Eric Burleson.
If it doesn't happen by the second round, I think the dam is going to break, and then people will regroup. And I don't think that we will get past January 6th without a speaker. I think that we will probably, if Johnson falters, I think Trump will step in and say, okay, I get it. Here's the next guy. I'm getting behind, and we'll go from there.
Whoa. Did you catch that right there? And he's on the House floor right now, so maybe this is part of the discussion. Don't know. We'll have to see. But what he just said there was, if we get past this second round, this one's the key, this next one. If Mike Johnson is not elected Speaker of the House in this next vote, which we don't know when it's going to be, watching it live, Trump could step in and endorse somebody else. Who? We don't know.
Don't know.
We have no idea.
And as Hans von Spakovsky has said before, it doesn't even have to be a member of the House.
Thank you for
It
that
could
reminder.
be anybody.
As we've discussed in a YouTube live chat poll in the past, could it be Elon Musk?
I have my doubts about that.
I do too, but it's been kicked around.
Let me throw another name out there that might surprise you, and this just came to me. What about Laura Trump? She's resigned as head of the RNC. She pulled her name out of the ring, or out of the running for the replacing
for
Rubio.
Senate.
So if she wants to stay in politics, being a Speaker of the House and having that last name Trump might be powerful.
The big question is, did they have this contingency in mind?
Maybe. Who knows? I'm just speculating.
Or did they not know either?
That just popped into my head. So.
Because we, as of an hour ago, we had no idea what was going to happen. We still don't really. But they were talking about up to 27 Republicans that could dissent. They were also talking about it could just be one. It ended up being 3. So that's not a lot. It's very possible that we could have a Speaker Johnson before the end of this show, even by the time Mark Reardon takes over at 3. Or if not, man, what's going to happen? Could Donald Trump speak in, like Eric Burleson was just saying, step in and say, here's who I'm throwing my weight behind now? And then, wow, because all this has to happen by Monday, you guys, for there to be a new Congress and them to certify the electoral votes. So, wow, didn't know it'd be like this. I guess that's why we're covering it, is because you just never know. But it seems like they didn't even know. So we'll see. This is Ryan Wiggins. Fun day here, I guess, filling in for Annie Fry. And she will be back on Monday. The whole team will be back on Monday. But right now, it is just us, the Manny Fry Show. We're going to come back, and do a little bit of catching up on what we missed this week with Brad, some clips that he pulled. So stick around. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Level up the comfort of your home this winter with either free attic insulation or an air scrubber. With a new HVAC system installation from Air Comfort Service. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Bill Holloway, the special agent in charge, he says, it's not terrorism. And you know that when she made that statement, they had already seen the ISIS flag. So why not just say it?
The Mark Reardon Show, weekdays from 3 to 6.
Oh, what you know, Joe? I don't know nothing.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Tell me something.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
We've been following the House Speaker vote all day. There still is no House Speaker, but the fact that they have not left the floor indicates to me that they have not adjourned and that we're going to see something pretty quick here. So we'll keep following it, and we'll let you know. A lot of movement happening at the moment. I haven't mentioned the YouTube live chat poll much today, and this is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry, by the way. YouTube live chat poll is, what will prices on the essentials do this year? So you can define the essentials as however you want. If you're a car guy, maybe cars are an essential to you. I would guess that groceries are a part of that, no matter who you are, because we all eat. But whatever the essentials are, what do you think the prices of those things are going to do this year? Few options for you. Go up? Will they stay the same? Will they go down a little, or will they go down a lot? Those are the four choices that you have. Kind of eager to see what you think, because this is almost like a consumer sentiment poll in a way going into 2025 to see what you got. Any thoughts about this poll?
Yeah, I do. My thoughts, if I were to vote, what I would vote is stay the same. Maybe you'll see energy prices go down. I think you can get energy prices to go down, but that's the thing about inflation. Once inflation goes up and drives prices up, very rarely does it go down. To get inflation to go down, you need a negative inflation rate.
Yeah, deflation.
Yeah, and I don't know that I've ever seen that.
It rarely happens that where you see deflation. I think this is a situation where you might, because we've had so much inflation for so long. In fact, you had such massive inflation so quickly for the first 2 years of Biden's term and into the third year, that's when you historically would see a slight deflation. And you never even got close to it. No. You continued to see inflation.
The best we had was we're down to 3% inflation.
Yeah,
now.
and I mean, maybe to
2.5,
very briefly. And these are numbers that you're like, can I even trust the numbers that these people are giving me? Because they're all political. But you never saw it really get low at all. Those are just historically normal numbers. And that's when you really should have seen them dip to deflation if things were going well, if they had handled it well, which they didn't. So it's possible that we would see that. On this vote, you're right, Brad. Going down a lot, I just don't see ever happening, because even if you do have some some negative price, and negative being good in this
Yeah.
sense, you would see it just go down a little bit. That's actually what I think is going to happen. I think you'll see prices just barely tick down. It might not be big things, but on little things you might notice, oh, that's eased up a little bit. And that's it.
What's interesting is that sometimes prices dropping by a lot is accompanied by not good financial situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would get a recession or something like that, and then that would just rip the bottom out and prices would start falling. I still think that the biggest thing that will have an impact on this will be energy prices. And if you can lower the energy prices enough, then you can start competition, and grocers and all these other people will start competing with one another again. It's like, well, I've got room to drop my prices, so if I can get your customers, I will make up in quantity what I was losing in quality.
And that's why I'm kind of balanced right between stay the same and go down a little, is for that very reason, that the companies have really, especially retail and manufacturers, have stretched themselves so much in the last few years to try to, their margins are down. I mean, the company's margins, and I'm not talking about NASDAQ and Dow Jones. I'm not talking about big companies. I'm talking about like on the one product that this company makes. They're making less profit on that product because they've had to stretch so much. That's why you see shrinkflation too, because they're trying to make it work. Well, if it gets eased up on them a little bit, which would happen from energy prices, I'm thinking groceries there mainly, that if energy prices go down, they'll finally have some breathing room. Does that mean prices go up? Definitely not. Does that mean they stay the same? Probably. They could tick down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is why my vote is go down a little bit. But you can vote in this. It's the YouTube live chat poll. What will prices on the essentials do this year? Interesting note here as we're covering the speaker vote. I wasn't expecting that. Mike Johnson is back on the floor, and he was just doing a one-on-one with Hakeem Jeffries a second ago. I don't really know what that means. Like, what does Mike Johnson have to talk about with Hakeem Jeffries? Are they going back to a vote? That would be my guess, that they're saying, hey, here's the plan. You're the minority leader. I'm the majority leader. Let's come together here. Here's the plan for the rest of the day. That's my guess. But that could mean that they're going to adjourn. That could also mean that they're coming to come right back. Don't know. We're watching. It doesn't look like people are leaving. So my guess is that we're going to do another vote here soon, but that's just me pontificating. In the meantime, Brad does a segment on Fridays called What Did I Miss?
What did I miss?
What did I miss?
All right, so this week was a little bit difficult because I missed a lot, and usually it's what did Annie miss, and Annie's not here, but also I wasn't here. So what I ended up doing was I went into Mark Cox's folder and I pulled some of the audio that he was talking about over the past week and some of the stuff they were talking about, and I brought that over. So I'm not 100% sure what all these clips are, but I thought we could play them.
This will be fun.
Play them and discuss. So the first one I want to talk about is this one here from Jan Crawford. She's a CNN legal expert.
I'll go back to the court. I think that Donald Trump will probably get his fourth nomination to the Supreme Court either this year or maybe next year.
Because someone retires.
Justice Sam Alito.
Justice Sam Alito.
He was nominated, took the bench in 2006 after nearly 2 decades on the court.
Wow.
What do you think? You think Sam Alito will be the next person to retire?
I haven't heard his name a lot. I always hear Clarence Thomas.
I hear Clarence Thomas a lot more because he's been in there a lot longer.
You know who I would like to see retire?
Sonia Sotomayor. No.
Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
If those three just decided, you know what?
It's not worth it.
2025 is my year. I'm going to step down. I know, especially for Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I'm pursuing Broadway.
Yeah, I haven't been here for more than about a year, but I think I've seen what I need to see. If those three wanted to step away, that'd be okay. But I guess if you're Alito or Thomas, having the Senate, having the presidency, these guys, they're smarter than to just step away during a Democrat term. So I could see that.
I mean, of those two, I would have thought it would have been Clarence Thomas before, but also Clarence Thomas, that legal mind, you hate to lose it because that guy,
Alito too, though.
Yeah, both of those guys are very conservative, very constitutionalist.
Of the three appointments that Trump has already made, which would be, who was the first one?
Gorsuch.
His name was eluding me. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. And then
Amy Coney Barrett.
Thank you. Hosting a show. Of the three, who do you think has been the best, the most constitutional, I should say.
I would say all three of them have made decisions that I disagreed with. And it's interesting because they're all three supposed to be pretty constitutional, but they disagreed on certain areas. It happens. This is the way the court is. I want to lean Gorsuch has been the best, but even then, he's made a decision where I'm like, what? Why? But
yeah, I like Gorsuch. I look to find, if those two guys, because it ain't John Roberts, but
he's not one of Trump's appointees.
No, he's not. But if Alito and Thomas or one of the two step down, they're kind of the leading real constitutional, conservative, traditional thought leaders on the court. If both of them were to step down, I would hope that Gorsuch would become that. He is very principled.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the other ones aren't. Even the liberal ones, have principles of their own.
Yeah.
But Gorsuch seems to really have a bedrock understanding of the Constitution that I think some of the decisions that you may be thinking of that I'm thinking of too.
He made it on a constitutional decision.
He will disagree with them and still make them because they're constitutional.
That's what the Constitution says.
And I really respect that. I used to think that about John Roberts too, but then he's been that kind of middle. He's sided with the majority of the conservatives a lot recently, but it looks to me like he's more interested in preserving the integrity of the perception of the court than the Constitution.
What's interesting about him too is so the way it works in the Supreme Court, that the ranking member gets to write the decision, and so if the conservatives vote one way, the ranking member is Clarence Thomas, unless Justice Roberts does it. So what Justice Roberts can do on those opinions is moderate them a little bit. So I think that's why you see him he's like, well, we're going to lose this one. I'm going to go ahead and jump on board with these guys anyway. And then that way he gets to write the opinion. So
and it looks like a bigger majority.
Yeah. And it may not be as hard line as say a Clarence Thomas or Sam Alito would have written.
Any other ones you want to hit here?
Yeah, I've got this one here. This is Trump's reaction to the passing of, well, it's not Donald Trump, it's Fox reading his reaction, but to the passing of Jimmy Carter.
I just heard about the news about the passing of President Jimmy Carter. Those of us who have been fortunate to have served as president understand this is a very exclusive club, and only we can relate to the enormous responsibility of leading the greatest nation in history. The challenges Jimmy faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of all Americans. For that, we all owe him a debt of gratitude. Melania and I are thinking warmly of the Carter family and their loved ones during this difficult time. We urge everyone to keep them in their hearts and prayers.
I don't know. I was glad to hear that.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get with Trump.
No.
And that's part of the fun. But in this moment, you're like, just...
That had the same feel as his reaction whenever Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it does look like there's something happening on the floor. We're going to go live and just dip in and see what's going on. A lot of applause. So.
And the Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received one. Therefore, the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress.
Wow.
So it sounds like the two no votes switched.
They just switched over.
And Massey voted for Emmer, so Emmer received one, so Massey kept his no.
So they've not done another full vote. They just switched their votes. Mike Johnson just shaking hands right now. He has been elected Speaker of the House.
The clerk appoints the following committee to escort the Speaker-elect to the chair. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark. The gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McClain. The gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson. The gentleman from California, Mr. Liu. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Hearn. The gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Neguse. The gentleman from Utah, Mr. Moore. The gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Delbene. The gentlewoman from Indiana, Mrs. Houchin. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Morelli. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Reschenthaler. The gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. Dingle. And the members of the Louisiana delegation, Mr. Higgins, Ms. Letlow, Mr. Carter, and Mr. Fields.
All right, we're going to break in here because he's just reading names. But, Mike Johnson, I mean, this took us by surprise. We didn't see this. They didn't do another whole vote, and Mike Johnson got 2 of those 3 to switch over. Keith Self and Ralph Norman apparently have switched to yes votes on Johnson, so he is the next Speaker of the House for the near future. Thomas Massie, still the holdout. We're going to hit a quick break here and come right back because there's going to be more about this. I expect Johnson's going to speak, so we'll carry this live right here on 97.1.
Ain't I happy? What you know, Joe? Student loans can be a strain on your family. For a limited time, the Springfield, Missouri Police Department is offering qualifying new officers up to $12,500 to help ease the burden of student loans. If you're driven, honest, and team-oriented, we want to talk to you about joining our next paid police academy. Start serving your community as a leader of it with the Springfield Police Department. Visit gospd.com for more information. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Outdoor Living Redefined, brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design, your trusted partner in crafting stunning decks, inviting screened rooms, and elegant porch overhangs. Imagine enjoying a crisp morning coffee on your beautifully designed deck, or hosting gatherings in a spacious screened room. Lakeside turns your vision into reality. Our skilled craftsmen use top-notch materials to create spaces that stand up to the elements and stand out in style. Elevate your lifestyle with Lakeside's outdoor living expertise. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: what will prices on the essentials do this year? We're going to leave what the essentials are up to you, but we want you to jump on our YouTube, go to Annie Fry on YouTube, join the chat, vote in the poll. Tell us, do you think they will go up? Will they stay the same? Will they go down a little, or will they go down a lot? The time is 1:40. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
It's a January tradition. The Mark Cox Morning Show will be broadcasting live from the Missouri State Capitol Wednesday, January 8th for the first day of the legislative session. Sponsored by Golden Oak Lending. Homeowners get cash in as little as 14 days at Golden Oak Lending.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
I wanna hold you so.
A wild day here on a Friday on the Annie Fry Show. Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range are your hosts today, filling in for Annie, who will be back on Monday. We have just seen something that I didn't even know was possible. This is the kind of Hans von Spakovsky stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
You go, hypothetically, could 2 people vote against the speaker and then just change their mind?
Before, like, how is this vote certified? When is it final? All of this other stuff.
Exactly, because, there's all these protocols for person gets up and reads, here's how everybody voted, and they do the roll call. They yell out, well, how are you voting? So I didn't know that this was possible. Apparently it is. That 2 of the representatives that voted against Mike Johnson have switched to Mike Johnson. He is now going to be the Speaker of the House once again, as he currently is. Keith Self and Ralph Norman have gotten some airtime today.
Yeah.
They made themselves
and apparently
known.
They got something, some sort of concession.
I don't know. You knew when we were doing that last segment to look up and you see Mike Johnson walk up to Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, something's happening. Either they're getting ready to adjourn or they're going to go vote again.
What we saw was what the Chiron says is late vote switches propelled Johnson to speakership.
So he's got it. So there you go. It's been kind of a wild run here for the last 2+ hours. but it is done. So we think from listening to the coverage here that Fox News says that Hakeem Jeffries will have to speak, and then he'll have to, I guess,
pass the
gavel over, which is weird because he doesn't have it now.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he has to pass the gavel over. But then Johnson will speak, and if that is during our show, we will carry that for you. I imagine that Mark Reardon will carry it or cover it for you anyway, regardless of when that happens. But I do believe that'll happen today. Otherwise, just watching for this winter weather coming in. If you are tuning in now and you didn't hear Dave Murray back in the middle of the 12 o'clock hour, the latest that he told us is that, yes, we're going to get some weather. He always says you really got to wait till these things hit the Rocky Mountains to determine much, and this storm system has not done that yet.
Right.
It is just now entering, I guess, landfall on the West Coast is what he said last hour. And so it is a big system. It looks like it's going to leave us with some wintry mix depending on where you're at. That if you're south, I mean, he was this specific.
Yeah.
That if you're south of St. Louis, that you're going to get a little bit more sleet and ice and freezing rain that will turn into snow later on Sunday. If you are north of St. Louis, and this is within our listening area,
right.
So not like Chicago,
yeah,
but
right.
This is right here, that if you're north of downtown St. Louis, that you're going to see a little more snow than wintry mix. Now, I asked him, are you that confident in knowing right where that line is, And he said, yeah, but it can move, but yeah, that line is going to be that close to us, which you said before, like, yeah, we're always on the line, aren't we?
We're always on the line.
You love winter weather, though.
I do like driving in it. I like snow. I actually, honestly, I like the silence of snow. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. You're out there listening, but for some reason, and I think it probably has something to do with the snowflakes falling and the it being on the ground. It creates almost like a soundproofing for the air, and you can just go outside and you can sit and you don't hear anything, which is a really cool, really fascinating thing for me. It actually brings me a lot of peace.
Absolutely. That'll happen starting, he said, late Saturday night. So if you have Saturday night plans, probably shouldn't be affected, but most things happening on Sunday. I've heard about some trade shows and some wedding shows from people around here that
Sunday
are going
service.
on Sunday service. Actually, I'm supposed to serve on Sunday, so I wonder what that's going to be. I was supposed to teach Sunday school.
Oh, you're not that far away.
I wonder what that'll look like. Monday morning, of course, will be difficult too, but we're just watching that just like everybody else, and we're watching this speaker vote. So this has been a pretty crazy day here, filling in for Annie here on the Annie Fry Show, who will be back on Monday. What does this mean for the Trump agenda? Having Johnson in there is clearly what Donald Trump wanted.
Yes.
It's what the vast majority of Republicans wanted in the House. I'd say the loudest voices get the most attention on these things. And I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the fact that there was a bit of a protest here.
I can respect it.
I respect it in the sense that I like that people are saying, look, we're not just going to fall in line. And my hope is that this is all about the budget.
Yeah.
Because this is a time in American history that you don't get very often, that you have got to not just do the conservative version of a big budget.
Right.
You have to change the way that you're thinking about spending money in Washington, D.C., because you have to change the way you're thinking about doing everything in Washington, D.C. right now. And I'm glad to see there's a little bit of pushback and saying that's what we want.
I'll tell you what would be interesting. Like, I feel like if we got a Congress that went back to the ways that it used to be, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years ago, or even before that, the way that the founders envisioned, that would be such a radical shock to the D.C. system that I think there would be a lot of protesting from the other side. But I think Americans seeing the way the Constitution and the government functioning the way it was designed to function would be something that I would find refreshing.
The House is getting a lot of attention today. Trump has been making statements, as he does, we've seen him be president before, where he may not get everything he wants, but I want to play this clip from what he said at America Fest. This was probably about a week and a half ago now.
It was not given for the benefit of others by a token of cooperation, but it was given to Panama and to the people of Panama, but it has provisions. You got to treat us fairly, and they haven't treated us fairly. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question. I'm not going to stand for it.
What do you think about that, Ryan? Do you think that, like, I heard this and I hear a lot of people screaming about, should Donald Trump get the Panama Canal back? Do we have a right? This is actually Panamanian property, blah, 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 all of this other stuff. Have you ever thought about that? Like, why would that be so important or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, with the trade routes, I mean, my assumption was when I heard him say this is that, A, he's going for position here.
Mm-hmm.
He may not get the Panama Canal back, in his words, but that what I love is with most of these things, he's thinking about American interests in shipping, and he's thinking about products, and he's thinking about economy, which is what the Panama Canal is. It's a shipping route.
Yeah. Well, it is that, but it's also more than that. And
military.
Well, this is why I'm more of a no, I definitely think the United States should control this. And one of the reasons is the United States is the country that built this. So the idea of the Panama Canal goes all the way back to like the 1500s. The French landed there or somebody, and they're like, we should build a canal. The first real effort happened after the Suez Canal between the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and that changed the shipping route. Because before any of these canals were built, the only way to get to these
go all the way around the Horn
was to go around the south of Africa. Or if you're going from the United States, or if you're going the other way, you got to go around the tip of South America. And those waters are dangerous. It adds a bunch of time to your journey and all this other stuff. Well, in the Suez Canal, they built a sea level canal through there. The French did. And they're like, why couldn't we do that in Panama? Well, Panama has mountains, so they went out there, they tried it, they failed, and Teddy Roosevelt actually spearheaded the effort to get this canal built. So what the United States did, what their plan was they're like, we're going to dam up this river and create this lake, and then we're going to create a series of locks. And if you're from St. Louis, you're familiar with what locks do. They change the level of the boat. It's basically a boat elevator.
Have you ever been up to the lock and dam near Alton?
Yeah, for sure.
It's neat.
Yeah, and so you watch the boats come in, they raise it up. And so they've done this. And they built this series of locks so that you could cut, I forget how many months and miles and fuel costs off of this. So it's huge. Like something like 40% of the world's shipping goes through the Panama Canal. What was the United States' responsibility? At the time the United States was building it, Panama was part of, I think it was Colombia, and they were trying to get independence. And so the United States supported Panamanian independence so they could build this canal, and they got this lease. And it was real tenuous between the Panamanian government because there's a lot of turmoil and turnover. But the United States built it. Tens of thousands of American lives were lost in the building process.
Oh, no kidding.
Because of mosquitoes. It's one of the most deadly building projects. It was like $327 million to build it in 1904 to 1913. So you're talking almost a 10-year period.
With inflation, that's probably almost like $500 million now.
But it's a big, expensive project. But the thing about it is our big competitor, and this is why I'm like, let's get Panama, the canal, because our big competitor is China. And when you talk about shipping, you've got to get shipped not just from the West Coast. You got to ship from the East Coast too. So if you don't control it for shipping reasons, then if China takes control of the Panama Canal, because right now
that was my question for you.
Panama owns it.
So Panama owns it because we ceded ownership back to it, and I actually read a little bit about this. It was during the Carter-Reagan era that this became a big thing.
It's like from like 1977 or something.
And Reagan made it a big issue because we had been losing a lot overseas. We had just had a lot of like negative international news for America, and he made this a big part of his 1980 campaign. It's one of the reasons that he got the nomination, is that America said, yeah, like why are we giving everything away for nothing?
Right. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Sure does.
We're losing overseas. Oh man, that could be a Trump campaign. But China has since moved into that area, and because Panama can't really afford to maintain it, they've been getting help from other countries. Well, if China takes over the Panama Canal, tariffs don't matter because they could just not let U.S. ships through there, and that cripples the U.S. as far as negotiations through economy. The Panama Canal was so influential that Panama actually adopted the dollar as its official currency.
Wow.
So you buy things in the U.S. dollar in Panama, and then like the Panama.
You know what's funny? A lot of Latin America is like that, where even countries that have their own currency, they're like, yeah, we'll take dollars though, because it's more stable.
Yeah. But if that happens, then the dollar becomes less influential. But the other side of this is too, and I look at this and I'm always thinking about this. China wants to be the boss. And the United States is a boss. And there's never really ever been a flip from one superpower to another without an armed conflict. Even like the United States and Russia, when it was the Soviet Union, there were proxy wars. The United States has the biggest Navy in the world, but they still have to get their Navy quickly and efficiently from one side of the world to the other. And this canal is vital to that. I mean, it's the idea of this canal, people like build ships to its specifications so their ships will fit through the canal. Now they widened it in 2016, so now bigger ships can get through. But like the battleships, the Iowa-class battleships, the aircraft carriers, all of those things were built so they would fit through the canal because it's like the U.S. interstate system. The idea of the interstate system was you could get military from one part of the country to the other fast. It's not for you to travel.
It doesn't surprise me that China's doing this.
Yeah. Well, if I'm China, I'm going after it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense for their strategy, but they're doing this all over the world. They're going into every nation, and not just, impoverished nations.
Right.
They're going into nations that in 2012 or 13, my wife and I were thinking about having kids. And we're like, okay, I think we're probably going to start trying to have kids soon. And you're like, how in the world is this playing the Panama Canal? Well,
no, I want to hear it.
We decided that we were going to go on one big vacation before we had kids. We decided to go to Iceland. We did, and it was a great time because the dollar was high and the Icelandic whatever currency was really low. Because a lot of times if you visit that country, it's reverse. Like your dollar doesn't go as far there. Well, at that time it did. So when we visited, we were able to kind of do a lot. We stayed at some Airbnbs. Now, we were pretty poor, so we were able to just do the vacation. It wasn't like we were rich on vacation. We were just able to do it. And one of the things that when we talked to Icelanders a lot about, there was a common theme that they said they hated their government because their government had sold out this was 2012, 13. They had sold out to China because China had come along and bought up all of their energy infrastructure. Because it's so tempting for these, not impoverished, but that's a smaller government, obviously, not a huge economy. Somebody comes to you and just waves money at you and goes, hey, how about a whole bunch of money for you and your country? You go, oh, man, this could help me get elected the next election down the road. So you take their money. Every nation's been doing this. China has footholds all over the world. So for Trump to bring up the Panama Canal, that tells me that he is forward thinking. He's got the right people around him who are advising him well to say, look, we need to be thinking about this. Nobody was thinking about it. Nobody was thinking about this issue.
Nobody mentioned Greenland until he mentioned it.
And so I'm glad when he mentions these things, not because I know how it's going to turn out, not because I know the backstory about all of it, just like you just had a great backstory on all the Panama Canal there. I appreciate that. But to know that your leaders are thinking about those things for you, that's why you have a representative doing that, because that's their job.
Well, in all honesty, too, with me, it never popped into my mind that the Panama Canal would even be an issue until Trump said something.
Exactly. To know that he's forward thinking and getting ahead of these things is a comfort to me. We are at the top of the hour. More breaking news ahead with speeches coming up from the House floor.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how, learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team and get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, and now is the time to do something about it. With Neovitin Women's Multivitamin, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Created by a St. Louis physician, Neovitin Women's Multivitamin is formulated with our proprietary blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Best of all, you can get Neovitin Women's Multivitamin delivered right to your door with our convenient monthly subscription. Go to neovitin.com and sign up for a subscription today.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly cause they're open till 8, jerrykelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good, jerrykelly.com. Cause your furnace will be running like it should. They're certified technicians, I've been told, will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold, jerrykelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on, jerrykelly.com.
Ruler Foods is your local grocer with all your favorites for less. Keep your kitchen and your wallet full with Ruler's everyday low prices on fresh produce. Save on 5-pound bags of mandarins and an 8-pound bag of navel oranges, $4.99 each. 3-pound bag of Gala, Pink Lady, or Granny Smith apples, $2.99 each. Also, shop Ruler Foods for savings on household essentials and your favorite Kroger brands. And now offering delivery to your area. Just visit rulerfoods.com to start your order today and get the best deals delivered right to your door.
The colder weather is here, and my friends at Hanson's Tree Service want to offer you a 10% winter discount for all tree care scheduled between January and March of next year. Mark Cox here. Call now. Get your spot secured. Also, when it comes to winter plant health care, it's a great time to get one of their arborists over. Have them to prescribe the best treatment options for your trees during the fall and winter season. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Schedule your appointment today at hansonstree.com.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's getjim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. Last-minute negotiations seal the Speaker's vote. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. 2 of the 3 GOP representatives-elect who voted for Republicans other than Mike Johnson during the first ballot moments ago changed their votes.
Mr. Norman, Johnson. Mr. Self, Johnson.
That gave Mike Johnson 218 votes, a simple majority of the members present. The two had huddled with Johnson and other Republican leaders at the back of the chamber. After the initial roll call came up 2 votes shy for Johnson, they approached the chair and changed their votes.
Therefore, the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress.
Johnson retains the gavel with a slim GOP majority in the House. The House can now conduct business, including a joint session of Congress on Monday, to certify the results of the Electoral College vote. The new members of the U.S. Senate have been sworn in. Vice President Kamala Harris administering the oath.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? I do. Congratulations, Senators.
Republicans have the majority in the Senate, 53-47. The FBI and other federal agencies issuing a new warning of potential terror attacks with vehicles being used as weapons. Potential copycats of Wednesday's terror attack in New Orleans that left 14 people dead. The president and the first lady will travel to New Orleans on Monday. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the president has been briefed on the Chinese cyber attack on the U.S. Treasury Department in December, in which hackers stole some documents. Treasury calling it a major incident. An hour before the close, Wall Street is up sharply. The Dow trading 292 points higher. NASDAQ is up 320. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Sunshine the rule as we go through our Friday afternoon, 34 for the high. Tonight, it's cold night, partly cloudy, 20. Saturday, some sun, but it's a day of increasing clouds, 32 degrees. Saturday night, snow, sleet, and freezing rain developing after midnight. Sunday, snow, sleet, and freezing rain throughout the day, 34. By the time it's over around midnight Sunday night, about 5 inches of ice and snow. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
If you're planning to sell and also buy a home in the near future, I know what you're going through. Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty knows selling and buying your next home at the same time can be tricky, especially in our area. Hey, Mark Cox here. If you need to sell and buy at the same time, this is for you. Gloria Lou has several great options for her home sellers, including her Sell and Stay program. That gets you the most money possible for your current home and allows you to stay put until you find your next home. No more stress, worries, or hassles. Gloria Lou makes selling your St. Louis area home easy, and she's been doing this for more than 21 years. Why risk working with an average realtor when you can work with the best? The name to remember is Gloria Lou of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. 314-325-6888 or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Hey, this is Ryan Wiggins and Brad Range in for Annie today after a very long one round. So we're into hour number 3 of the one round of voting. Mike Johnson was finally, eventually re-elected. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It is Mike Johnson, and he has just now stepped to the podium to accept the speakership. We're going to go to it live.
Today, if we could, I'd ask you all to join me in a moment of silence for the victims of this horrific act. Thank you. Thank you for that. I believe in giving honor where honor is due, and all of us do well to honor our spouses. My wife happens to be here this time. She didn't make it last time. It happened a little sudden. Kelly, would you stand up here in the gallery? Thank you. And we have our 4 children here, Hannah, Abby, Jack, and Will. Will y'all stand up just really quickly? Come on. I wanted to do that. All of us recognize that there are no perks to being a congressman's kid, right? It's all sacrifice. And our spouses put up with so much, endless hours in travel and all the responsibilities upon us. And we're good to remind them how important they are to us and how we could not do the job without them. And so it's appropriate for all of us to do that. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This is a momentous time in the nation of the history of our nation. It really is. And as members of the 119th Congress, we are stewards of the great American Revolution that began almost exactly now 250 years ago, 1775 and 1776. It will fall at the time of this Congress, the great anniversary. And in these 2.5 centuries, we've been reminded repeatedly that freedom is never free. And we have stood tall as the greatest nation on the face of the earth. It is without debate. We are the freest, the most powerful, most benevolent nation that has ever been in the history of the world. And it's not by happenstance. We are the ones who settled the West. We are the ones who ended slavery, who laid the transcontinental railroad, who gave women the right to vote, who won 2 world wars, who landed on the moon, and who won the Cold War. Throughout our history, we have done what no one thought was possible. And still, at 250 years old, our nation is actually a young nation. This past fall, I had opportunity to go to the G7 speakers meeting. It was held in Italy. It's the only international trip I took as speaker over the last 14 months because I didn't have time to do it, but it was a quick 3-day jaunt, and met with my colleagues, the speakers of the other parliaments, the great governments around the world. And we talked about that, how really special America is, how unique we are in our place on the globe, and how important it is for us to maintain that. And as I talked to these colleagues from around the world, I thought our closest allies, who recognize how important we are, how important this body, this house is. I thought about how is it that such a young country has become so exceptional, so singular in its importance, that today stands as the world's leader in liberty and the economy and culture. 100 years ago, President Calvin Coolidge answered that very question in his inaugural address. It was March of 100 years ago, exactly almost. He said this: "We best serve our own country and most successfully discharge our obligations to humanity by continuing to be openly and candidly, intensely and scrupulously American." I love that. I love that. Today, yeah, that's right. That's an applause line. Today, my friends, our nation is the envy of the world. Why? Because we have been marked by a spirit and a people who are explicitly that. We are explicitly American. We don't try to be like other nations, and we recognize that a strong America is good for the entire world. And everybody around the globe knows that. That's right. We also recognize that the core principles that made America what we are must still be preserved today. The principles, I call them the 7 core principles of American conservatism, but it's really the 7 core principles of the nation itself. Individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity. These are the ingredients, the things that made us who we are. And in America, we know that human flourishing is best achieved by adherence to time-tested truths. We could list a number of those simple truths. Here's a couple. It's better to give a hand up than a hand out. That innovation thrives when bureaucracy dies. The simple truth that it is parents and families and not administrators that must be in charge of their children's education. The path of prosperity has long been paved with policies that put America and Americans first. And that is what we will champion in the 119th Congress. We have a mandate, and that was shown in the election cycle. The people want an America First agenda. They do. Sadly, for the past 4 years of divided government, too many politicians in Washington have done the opposite. Open borders and overregulation have destroyed our cities and stifled innovation. Inflation and weak leadership have left Americans poorer, and they have placed our country in a perilous position. That's right. But in recent months, we've witnessed something happening, something that's really remarkable, a political moment in our modern history, a groundswell of Americans from every state, race, and religion who now demand that we put the interest of Americans first again, and we will, and we will. This is a powerful new coalition of our country. It's a coalition that insists that we purge the policies of America last and we bury them in the graveyard of history's mistakes, because it was a big mistake. To that end, this Congress will renounce the status quo and we will listen to the voices of the people. We will act quickly and we will start by defending our nation's borders. That's the number one priority. Yes. In coordination with President Trump, this Congress will give our border and immigration enforcement agents the resources that they need to do their job. We will secure the border, we will deport dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens, and finally finish building the border wall. You said you'd work with us on that, Hakeem. I'm counting on it. After 4 years of high inflation, we have a big agenda. We have a lot to do, and we can do it in a bipartisan fashion. We can fight high inflation, and we must. We'll give relief to Americans, and we'll extend the Trump tax cuts. We're going to protect our industries from one-sided trade deals, and we're going to bring overseas investments back to America's shores. That's right. We'll defeat the harmful effects of inflation, and we'll make life affordable again for America's hardworking people. As leaders of a nation with vast natural resources that God has blessed us with, it is our duty to restore America's energy dominance, and that's what we'll do. We have to apply common sense. We have to stop the attacks on liquefied natural gas, pass legislation to eliminate the Green New Deal, that funding. We're going to expedite new drilling permits. We're going to save the jobs of our auto manufacturers, and we're going to do that by ending the ridiculous EV mandates. And as heirs to the American Revolution and the descendants of patriots who defied tyranny, in the coming months, we are going to pass legislation to roll back the totalitarian fourth branch of government known as the administrative state. We're going to drastically cut back the size and scope of government. We're going to return the power back to the people. And in coordination with President Trump and his administration, we are going to create a leaner, faster, and more efficient federal workforce. We need to do that. Our people do not deserve to be ruled by millions of bureaucrats they've never voted for, never met, and can never hold accountable. They deserve a government that is led by those they've elected to lead. That is how Article 1 is supposed to work. That was the idea of the Congress, and we will return to that principle. The American people have called on us to reject business as usual and throw out the status quo. We must and we will heed their call. This is especially important as it comes to our nation's military. For too long, the Washington establishment has sought to appease and accommodate our nation's adversaries. They've tried to replace our military warriors with social justice warriors. It does not work. And while we're still the most powerful fighting force in the history of the world, by God's grace, the same establishment has eroded the capacities of our Army and Navy and diminished the readiness of our Air Force. We have to put an end to this madness. My friends and my colleagues, I think we should all unite in this idea. It is time now to reinstate fear in our enemies, refocus our mission on lethality, and realign our commitment to peace through strength right now. We have to prioritize the things that matter most. We have to make adequate investments in defense. This is the most dangerous moment since World War II, and everyone around the world is looking to America and looking to this body to ensure that we maintain the peace. What we're proposing now is just simply, as President Trump likes to say, a return to common sense. And he's exactly right. That message resonated across the country. I am very thankful, personally, that this body is filled with men and women who are committed to that change, to return to common sense. We can do this together. We should. It is our responsibility to do so. When I first took this gavel, many of you heard me say that I don't believe in luck or consequence. I believe in the idea of providence. And this morning, I participated with many of you early this morning in the 119th Congress Interfaith Prayer Service. It was held at St. Peter's Catholic Church. Many of you were there. It was an ecumenical service and a bipartisan service, which was great. My good friend Hakeem Jeffries began by reading with the Old Testament. He read out of Deuteronomy 10. And then I was asked to provide a prayer for the nation. I offered one that is quite familiar to historians and probably many of us. It said right here in the program, it says right under my name, it is said each day of his 8 years of the presidency and every day thereafter until his death, President Thomas Jefferson recited this prayer. I wanted to share it with you here at the end of my remarks, not as a prayer per se right now, but as a reminder of what our third president and the primary author of the Declaration of Independence thought was so important that it should be a daily recitation. Let me just read you that prayer. It goes like this. Thomas Jefferson's Prayer for the Nation, it's entitled. Almighty God, who has given us this good land for our heritage, we humbly beseech thee, that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of thy favor and glad to do thy will. Bless our land with honorable ministry, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion into one united people the multitude brought hither out of many kindreds and tongues. Endow with thy spirit of wisdom those whom in thy name we entrust the authority of government, that there may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to thy law we may show forth thy praise among the nations of the earth. In time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, and in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in thee to fail, of which we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. That was Thomas Jefferson's prayer. Yeah. Suffer not our trust in thee to fail. We will not fail. We cannot fail. We are all in this together. Our nation is counting on us to band together and solve these problems and get this done. I've said before that I believe God has elevated each one of you, that's just my belief, to your positions of leadership. And it's an act of providence that you've all been placed in your specific roles in this specific moment at this historic time, at the 250-year inflection point of the greatest nation in the history of the world. It is no small thing. We're also witnesses to the providence that spared our incoming president, President Trump, from the assassin's bullet, remarkable as that was, and to the new coalition of Americans that has risen from every creed, color, and cul-de-sac who want us to put America first. Our people are asking for a thriving economy and a rebuilt middle class and strong borders and a strong military, and we can deliver that. See, these objectives and these aims don't have an R or a D behind them. They have a USA. That's what we're about. In just a few moments, we're all going to take an oath. It is the same one oath for one nation and under the banner of one great American flag. This is an opportunity for us to protect our shared American heritage, to maintain the conditions needed for self-government, and to defend what Hakeem said earlier, the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Working together, we have the potential to be one of the most consequential Congresses in the history of this great nation, so long as we work together, we do the right thing, and we put America first. As we think about all we've accomplished in the past 250 years, we can only imagine what life will be like 250 years from now. Whatever the future may look like, if we do our jobs now, we can help ensure that our civic virtues will endure, that this nation will still be an example to all the world for its greatness and its example of self-government, and that in spite of our great challenges and even our disagreements and our healthy debates, this extraordinary institution, the People's House, will still be standing strong. Thank you all so much, and God bless America.
Well, you just heard the former and continuing Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, in his acceptance speech as a couple of dissenting votes earlier today switched over, and so there's only one round of voting, and he is going to continue to be the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. I don't know about you, Brad, but whenever I hear him speak, I think he's a good guy. He's got his priorities straight. I would say I don't really forget that, but in the daily grind of covering Congress, you find that people aren't perfect. And they actually said that in the nomination speech. I think that the woman from the representative from Michigan said, look, you're not going to ever find a perfect speaker, and you're never going to find a perfect person. Yet, I nominate Mike Johnson. And, and that's a given, but it's a good reminder, and I really do think he's got his priorities straight. Doesn't mean he's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean I won't personally disagree with him. Doesn't mean that he's going to get everything right. But even if he is persuadable, even if he's not the stalwart that he seems to be, the good thing is the persuasion in this Congress and in this administration is going to be mostly toward the right things.
Right.
So I think this is a good thing. I think this is something that we can be glad about and move forward. And Monday will proceed as planned here. And we will take a short break and come back and update you on anything else that happens here. I don't anticipate there's going to be any more big news.
There's a lot of bookkeeping and donut making now that will be
and other people making speeches and saying things. But I think the big story will be to find out now, and I don't know if we'll find out before the end of our show, maybe Reardon will, about what caused those two dissenting votes, Keith Self and Ralph Norman, to switch back and say, no, I'm not. I'm actually going to vote for Johnson. That'll be a story going forward. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Annie Fry Show.
But until then, it's alienation. I know.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Your voice can be key to changing lives. That's why the American Cancer Society is calling on Black women from all walks of life to join Voices of Black Women, a groundbreaking research study led by the American Cancer Society and backed by more than 70 years of trusted cancer research studies and breakthroughs. The Voices of Black Women study is designed to better understand why and how cancer and other conditions impact Black women. It's a commitment to partnering with Black women to better understand their lived experiences. Learn more at voices.cancer.org.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Hey, Jimmy Fallon here with a quick listening tip for you. If you miss Fox Across America or any of your other Fox News favorites, do not worry. I got you covered. You can stream previously aired shows with Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app. So if you're busy work days, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on the news. Listen to your Fox shows on your time with Odyssey. To get started, just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio. That's Odyssey, A-U-D-A-C-Y. I'm spelling it out in case you're a little slow like me.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you have a furnace that needs service, a heat pump that needs repairs, or a boiler that needs to be replaced, contact Air Comfort Service. They offer 24/7 emergency heating service too. AirComfortService.com.
The minds and voices that shape America are talking here.
This is Brian Kilmeade. This is Griff Jenkins from Fox News.
This is Jimmy Fallon.
Stream it on the Odyssey app.
97.1 FM Talk.
97.1 on the Odyssey app on your phone. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
First Friday of the year. Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range in for Annie today. Mark Reardon coming in about a half an hour. I just mentioned before, we just listened to the House Speaker Mike Johnson's, not concession speech, but his, what do we call it? The
acceptance
speech.
Yeah.
Thank you. We just listened to that. It was a good speech. All prepared, and they didn't have to really alter anything because they didn't go to a second vote.
Right.
So probably just a little later than they thought it was going to be. But he is the Speaker of the House. He's still sitting in the chair. In fact, people are just walking up and saying hello to him. He looks like a judge sitting up there. Mm-hmm. I said at the end of that segment, though, that we were looking to see, really the story hanging out there right now is, if you're just tuning in, I'll catch you up real quick. The reason this vote, this one round of voting, because this is not the second, this is a long time. This has been one round. It was supposed to be over by roughly 12:30, and it didn't get over until close to 2, when we actually found out that two of the 3 dissenters on the Republican side had decided to flip their votes before they officially counted them.
Right.
So they did the roll call and they voted for somebody else, but then behind the scenes, apparently 2 of the 3. Now, Thomas Massey, he didn't change. He's the same as he was. He was a no vote. But these 2 other representatives, Keith Self and Ralph Norman, went behind the scenes back with a couple other representatives and Johnson. And Brad's got an updated report on what happened.
Yeah, so this is from Chad Pergram, and he's Fox's senior White House reporter. And if you want to know where I'm getting this, I'm pulling this off of his Twitter feed. According to this, it's 4 minutes old. He said GOP Rep Nancy Mace got Norman and Self together, and they went to a side office near the floor with Johnson. Trump was on the speakerphone. Colleague Brett Baer reports Trump said It would be disrespectful to the Americans who voted in a historic presidential election to have this speaker's vote go to a second or third ballot.
So Trump's on the call with these guys.
Yeah, these guys are in the room, and Trump is on a speakerphone. And he said to have this speaker vote go to a second or third ballot, and it would be disrespectful to me. He ended it with, fellas, we have a lot to do. Let's get to it. And then they voted for Johnson. So that's what that tweet says.
So that's Chad Pergram reporting that.
Chad Pergram's reporting that that's what Brett Baer reported.
Okay. All right. So and that's coming from the source being Nancy Mace?
Nancy Mace was the one that got them together.
Well, that's interesting. She doesn't seem like that's her role.
But maybe it is. Who knows?
Because she does kind of go between the, I don't want to call them establishment Republicans, but a little bit more traditional faction of Republicans. Because she ran on that, not this year, but 2 years ago. She was the more like common sense Republican because she got primaried. And she ran as more the common sense one. But then she does a lot of things that are a little bit more media, oriented, gets attention.
Makes a lot of noise.
And she dissents a lot more than most Republicans do. So that would put her kind of in, 1 foot in each category. I guess it makes sense for her to do that. But there's more to this.
Yeah. So now this tweet is 2 minutes old, and it's from Chad Pergram as well. He said, from colleague Krista Garvin, and I'm not sure what organization or outlet she works for, GOP Texas Rep Self said this: I'm not going to give you the specifics. That's up to the speaker. We shored up the reconciliation team because we know that this will be a heavy lift to get the Trump agenda across the line in the reconciliation package. So we shored up the reconciliation team, or the negotiating team. I was very frustrated with the 118th Congress, and that's why we needed to shore up the process to make it more oriented for the Trump agenda, because we needed more input from members like myself, not a chairman, not a leadership position, and I think that's what we have done.
The person saying like myself is who?
That is Rep Self.
That's
Texas.
Keith Self. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So they're talking about budget stuff there.
Budget stuff. Yeah, reconciliation is the budget package that you can do with certain rules. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but in that and reconciliation, you only need a simple majority. You don't need the 60 vote.
Right, which is how they pass a lot
of
things is through reconciliation. So I just wonder what, we'll find out this, he said, I'm not going to give you all the specifics.
This is all very fresh.
I would be interested to hear what he means by the reconciliation negotiation team. If that's Congress people or if that's other people.
Well, I think that's what it is it's a group of congressmen and women who get together and they negotiate the reconciliation package.
See, I wonder if that means that some people got kicked off of that
Maybe.
or if they just added more. I don't know how that works.
Maybe he didn't, like, judging from what he's saying, it's like, oh, we got too many chairmen and leadership positions and we don't have enough just average representatives there.
It's weird because I don't know that anybody's going to really. Everybody's going to be happy now, and in the news anyway. On the Republican side, people are going to say, "Oh, good, it got done. First round vote, and all that," and everybody's going to be happy. But I'm actually happy with the way it played out too. I like that there was dissent. I like that it sounds like there was some negotiation that had to do with budgeting in the future. I don't know exactly what that is yet, but we'll find that out.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Thomas Massie continued to dissent.
Yeah.
Because I respect that guy. I really do. I like what he has to say. I like the solutions he comes up with budgeting because he comes up with stuff that you're not expecting. And for him to say, no, I'm not going to participate in this means that he's going to continue to be a thorn in the side of all budget stuff.
He is a budget hawk. It's interesting that you mentioned that because in my search on Twitter, one of the things that I saw from him was a tweet, and it was a box. I don't know if you know this or not, but he wears the debt counter clock on his lapel.
No, I didn't.
He's got that. And
he wears it on his shirt?
Yeah.
Is it
on
constantly rising?
On his coat. On his jacket, when he goes on the floor. And one of the things that he's done is he's had a bunch of these in a box, and he's giving every new member of Congress one of those
See, that's
counters.
fantastic. That's perspective.
He's about a budget hawk. He's about the budget. He's about the deficit. He is really about those things. So, like, I know people are frustrated with him, but the thing is you need a Thomas Massie out there pulling and moving, the GOP and Congress towards that end to be more financially responsible.
Yeah. To remember, this is the big picture, guys. It's not about negotiating this one thing this one time for this 2 years. Remember that we're headed toward fiscal Armageddon.
Right.
Like, remember this, everyone. I'm so glad he's there. I'm glad he dissented. I'm also glad, though, on the other side of this, that Mike Johnson is the speaker. I think that he's a good guy. I think that he's got his priorities straight. And with just a few votes to lose, if you have these people constantly in his ear saying, no, remember the big picture, I think this ends well.
Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that if that reporting is accurate, if that reporting is true, that the dissenting voices that did flip were wanting something that actually oriented to make it more America first, not like less America first.
Yeah, I mean, they're not fighting Trump. They said, it sounds like in that statement that they're like, we want the Trump agenda.
Right.
We just want to make sure that we're going to get there.
We want it more Trump and more agenda-y.
Or yeah, whatever words they're going to use to say, remember, we're trying to cut the budget here. Yeah. I do think that Donald Trump loses focus of that a little bit. He's a negotiator.
Yeah.
He's not a traditional conservative.
Right. And
so it's important to have these guys.
Yeah, it's important to remember, too, that like when you're talking about deficit, when you cut taxes, you're raising the deficit.
Yeah.
And so they want spending cuts as well. They don't just want to stop taxing people. They want to like stop spending too.
I respect it. I'm glad this went down the way that it did. I'm glad I got to cover it with you today. We are going to take this is kind of a short segment. We're going to take a short break. We had some stuff planned for today. We didn't know how today was going to go, obviously, and it's been kind of kooky. But stick around because one of the things that we pulled for today is the absolute funniest things Trump did. Is this ever or just in 2024?
This is ever because some of these go like back before he even ran for office.
This is the funniest stuff that Trump has done up until now, and we've got it in audio. This will be fun. Stick around.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
American Mortgage is the home of the bagel loan, and if shopping for a new home in 2025 is on your list of New Year's resolutions, make sure that you make a great connection with a mortgage lender who's going to give you the best deal out there. And that's Stewie. Stewie is my friend. He is Stewie of Stewart's American Mortgage, and he is there to guide you through the mortgage process and put you in the best financial situation possible to be able to acquire that home of your dreams. The number to reach him directly to the cell phone in his pocket right now, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan as well. But when you start talking to Stewie about the bagel loan and your new home purchase, here's what you're going to understand. You get to go through that whole process of acquiring your mortgage. He can close in less than 2 weeks, but you're going to be able to do all of it with no closing costs. 0 fees at the end of the whole transaction. It's a smart move. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Question. Are you a maintain it before it breaks person or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at JerryKelly.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Oh, man. I almost missed the time check. Today's YouTube live chat poll is what will prices do on the essentials this year? Stop laughing at me, Ryan. That is rough whenever they don't tell you.
See?
Yeah, it's all right, though. I deserved that. So what will the prices on the essentials do this year? Will they go up? Will they stay the same? Will they go down a little? Or will they go down a lot? We talked about it a little bit earlier. We want to hear what you think. Right now, the time is 242. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Good afternoon. Off for about 10 days. It feels like a month, but we have a lot to catch up on, including terrorist attacks in Las Vegas and NOLA, and then some nonsense, of course, in the streets of St. Louis early yesterday morning. We'll cover that and a whole lot more. It all starts after Fox News.
My house in Budapest, my hidden treasure chest, golden grand piano, my beauty focus EOU.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
I'd leave it all.
Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
My acres of land I've achieved. It may be hard for you to stop and believe, but for you, I'd leave it all. For you.
YouTube live chat poll is, what will prices on the essentials do this year? Will they go up, stay the same, go down a little, or go down a lot? We'll give you the results of that poll at the end of this segment. And speaking of which, a lot of people on the stream right now asking, speaking of stream, how the bidet is going at home. And I am sorry to say that I screwed it up. I was going to save this story, but people are asking about it. And so, I feel obligated to tell you that here's the problem. My wonderful handyman that I go to for basically everything, he set it up to where I would have the bidet shipped to his house, so that my wife wouldn't even know that it was happening.
Yeah.
And then he would come while my wife was in school and install it, and she'd come home one day, it would just be done.
It would surprise her when she's using the bathroom.
Gosh. Yeah, oh my gosh,
what was
that? Yeah. But the problem is, when I was filling out the address form, I put my own zip code on it.
Oops.
Instead of his. And it screwed everything up for weeks. And so it has arrived at his house now. We have not had the chance to install it because we've been home for Christmas and stuff. Yeah. So that'll happen next week, apparently. I'll give you the play-by-play once it does, though, I promise.
I don't know if I want that play-by-play.
Oh, sure you do. We have the funniest Trump moments ever. So this isn't just from 2024, but we're going to go backwards here. The top 8. And this is according to, I
think it's Defiant L's on Twitter.
Yeah, a consensus of people on Twitter coming up with these. There is one that I don't think made this that I'll mention. But instead of setting each one of them up, I'm just going to play it. And then if you're listening, you can try to place like what year, where this was. Some of these I already know.
Yeah.
Most of these actually I already know. But I want to set it up that way and just play them outright, and then we'll talk about them. Here's number 8.
Democrats. Ooh, there was a mosquito. I don't want mosquitoes around me. I don't like mosquitoes. I don't like those mosquitoes. I never did. Okay, speaking of mosquitoes, hello, Hillary. How are you doing?
So I'm going to say 2016 for that one.
He's like smashing the mosquito on the... I don't like him.
The only thing that I couldn't figure out is, was Hillary nearby? Or was he calling the mosquito Hillary?
I think he was.
Oh, so you smashed it. Hello, Hillary.
Yeah, this is this was a campaign event.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's number 8. Here's number 7.
You're a billionaire, though. Why would you not move it here just for having it in America?
Excuse me, because I'm a businessman. Let me just tell you something, and it's very interesting. You're not bringing up anything new. You're acting like you're the great reporter, blah, blah, blah.
The Pew Research, which is independent, says...
Don't be naive. You're a very naive person.
The Pew Research says that there are, for immigrants on the whole,
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead. Okay.
It's fun when you...
Whoa! I don't remember that.
Yeah, so this was at Trump Tower, and he was sitting down for an interview at Trump Tower. I think this is right around the time when he first announced that he was running for office. And I didn't even recognize the reporter, but he was just mauling her.
That sounds like early on. I was going to say that sounds like early Trump, because he, at the begining, he was like, "Oh, press, yeah, let's do some press." Now he's probably like, "Shit, get away from me."
Here we are, the fake news again.
Here we go. All right, so these are kind of early on. I think this one. I think I know when this one. I won't set it here. Number 6.
Proven that we can actually be civil to each other. In fact, just before taking the dais, Hillary accidentally bumped into me, and she very civilly said, "Pardon me."
Yeah, that was from the Al Smith dinner.
Yeah,
that was a written joke. That wasn't just off the cuff.
And you could, if you were listening, that you could hear her laugh.
She does laugh.
She was the first person to laugh, and it wasn't like a giggle. It was head back, leaning back in her chair, cackle, laugh, big, hard.
I remember covering this joke. Actually, I remember covering it later because it was one of those really memorable jokes because everybody remembered it. And really dissecting, did Hillary actually think that was funny? Or is that something you have to laugh at because you're there?
It seemed genuine to me.
It did seem, I thought so too.
That was a big laugh, and she didn't like ramp into it. And it wasn't like a, it was like the head back,
boom, you got me.
belly laugh. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I thought so too. Now, a lot of this, obviously, all 3 of them so far have been from early in Trump's political career. And I get it. He had more showbiz going on back then. After you're the president of the United States, I think it's not that he never jokes, as you'll hear. There's still some funny stuff coming up, but it does take a little bit of a backseat because you're not just out there to campaign and shake hands and do camera. You're there to actually govern. And it becomes a little more serious. That's why you see presidents age so much from a beginning of a term, especially over 8 years, beginning of a term to the end of a term. Man, the pictures look completely different. You remember the George W. Bush picture?
Yes.
He looks like a little kid at the beginning of 2000.
I mean, even Barack Obama, he looked weathered.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, he had a lot more wrinkles, and part of that's just age, almost a decade later.
But stress will do that to you.
Yeah, it's a stressful job. This is number 5.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
Was that the Al Smith dinner
that
too?
Was this year.
That's what I thought. That was a written joke, and that was a really good one. And obviously, he's still got some jokes in him. That was, although, you got writers for that. That's not off the cuff. Although, most politicians are a little funny. So if you went over the entire career of anybody who's been in politics for a long time, you could probably find a best of and come up with some funny stuff because they're usually pretty charismatic people. But Trump is a different level. He was an entertainer. I mean, he that's one of the reasons that he's famous is because he's been in so much stuff. Number 4. I definitely remember this one.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. That was definitely off the cuff.
Yes.
Nobody wrote that, and that was really funny. That's so funny that comedians will still mention it. Like Dave Chappelle just did a bit where he mentioned it.
Was that here? Was that in St. Louis? When
I think it was. I think that was the town hall.
That was the stand-up style one where they had the microphones and stuff like that. So,
do you think St. Louis's days of hosting political events like that are over? Because we're not a swing state.
Maybe, because that always
we weren't then either. But
it went to Wash U. When he did that one, I mean, Claire McCaskill was still a senator, so you had a Democrat senator.
I guess that's true. I just don't see us being involved in those conversations in the future because we had a few of those at Wash U, not just that one, but it's because Missouri had been more on the bubble.
Yeah,
at least in principle.
I think the days of the debate is starting to come to a close too.
Debates in general.
Yeah, I think you'll get 1 or 2, and it's going to be like nobody on the stage. There won't be the town hall style. There's all of that. So
the days of the debate in the primary or at all?
I think of the presidential race. I think those are over.
because I think the days of debates and primaries are just getting going.
Oh, yeah, for sure. On
That's
that.
how people make names for themselves. We didn't know Vivek Ramaswamy. We didn't know Mike Huckabee before
true.
primaries. That's how people make names. This is number 3 on the list of funniest Trump moments.
Do you accept Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him?
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Yeah, I think I remember that one too. That was probably 2018.
Yeah, that was after. So they were asking about Matt Whitaker becoming the new attorney general. So he was the acting attorney general. I think in between Barr and Sessions, was it? Or Rosenstein?
You just brought up Matt Whitaker, who has been a frequent guest on this show. And was he was appointed to something, wasn't he?
Acting attorney general.
No, recently.
Oh, maybe?
Matt Whitaker, I thought, okay, Trump chooses former acting AG Matt Whitaker as NATO ambassador.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good luck, NATO.
I thought I remembered that he got picked. I wonder if we'll be able to get him back. You've got some good guests coming up next week. I know that
I'm working on
you're playing.
this.
Fingers crossed. We won't say. Number 2 of the funniest Trump clips.
This is a tough business to run for president.
I know. You're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is
Real
principled.
tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the
let's
presidency.
see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3. So
Doesn't matter.
far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You started off over here, Jeb. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
This doesn't do a thing.
Oh, man. Winning changes everything.
Yeah. So you remember in the primary debates how the highest person was in the center, and then the lower numbers you got, the more they moved you off to the edge of
and
the
he was
stage.
pushing him off the stage.
Yeah.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, that didn't age well for Jeb. In fact, Jeb's career really didn't age well from that moment on.
He never came back from that.
No, he didn't. And here is, at last, the number 1, according to the online consensus, the number 1 funniest Trump clip.
What's the difference between a wet raccoon and Donald J. Trump's hair? A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion in the bank.
Wow. I actually don't remember that clip.
Yeah, so this was at a Trump roast, like a Comedy Central Trump roast.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember that joke even after watching
this is before he even ran for office.
This is pretty good. Now, the one that I said I think is my favorite Trump clip, I've said it on the show before, is when he was president at the time. I think this is probably 2017-ish. He is introducing, he's giving the Medal of Freedom to Navajo code talkers.
Okay.
And it's a really cool moment.
Yeah.
And because they're very old and there's probably very few of them left even at that point, let alone now. And he's giving them the Medal of Freedom. He stops in the middle and he says something about Native Americans and he goes, and then there's one over there called Pocahontas, but we won't bring her into this conversation. And he riffs for a couple seconds on Elizabeth Warren in the middle of this for no reason. And then he stops himself and he's like, yeah, we're just going to go. But you guys are great people. You guys are great people. This is about you guys today. All right, the YouTube live chat poll today. What will prices on the essentials do this year? Go up, stay the same, go down a little, or go down a lot? What are the results, Brad?
So looking at the poll, I think we have 118 votes, and the last place with 8% of the vote was go down a lot. Then it was go up, which was about 15%. Then 23% said stay the same. And then the vast majority say at 54%, go down a little.
Well, I hope the majority is right on this one. Go down a little. That's kind of what I chose too, although stay the same was right there in the conversation. I think Brad chose that one. Let's hope they go down a little. I don't think they'll go down a lot. That'd be great. As long as they don't go up, that would be the worst thing that could happen. Looking forward to this year here on the 3rd day of the year. Andy will be back on Monday, January 6th, where we will have an official new president-elect as certified by Congress. We will see you then.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with